Yes.
Before you sold her this car?
Yes, we were.
Do you ever watch my courtroom program?
Yes, I do.
Didn't you ever hear me say, never sell a used car to a friend?
Yes, ma'am.
But you didn't listen. You didn't take me seriously.
No, I'm sorry.
You're never supposed to sell a used car to a friend and never make a loan to a friend, because that's the fastest way to lose a friend. You always end up enemies, and you're the bad one when you try to collect the debt. Okay, so you sold the car to Miss Sandoval. How much was the car?
$3,800.
You have a bill of sale?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
I also have a contract.
I'd like to see the contract, too. Well, they didn't sign this for that says $3,800.
No, they didn't.
And nowhere
Your
in the
Honor.
contract for the purpose of purchasing the car does it say $3,800.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It's on the first page.
Am I missing something? Show me where.
Okay, no, I guess it doesn't.
It does not.
Okay.
Well, let me tell you this. Usually a contract for the
Okay,
purchase
then
of...
I do
Listen to me.
have-
My mouth is moving.
Yes.
Usually when you make a contract for the purchase of a something, what you list is the property being sold and the purchase price. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, that didn't say this.
Okay, in our state, the buying party is not responsible to sign the bill of sale.
I
But I
am-
also have where she registered the car and claimed $3,800 is what she
Fine.
paid for the
So
car.
let's say $3,800, but remember this.
Yes.
In the future, if you sell anything, you have to put the purchase price in the contract. That's what the contract is about.
Okay.
What you're selling and how much you're selling it for.
Well, Your
okay,
Honor,
you purchased the car for $3,800. How much did you pay?
I've paid a total of $3,912.
I'm not counting, madam, what you claim as far as work for hire and working off some of the
Pay in cash was $912.50.
$912. It is your claim that you paid up because you fell onto some financial hard times and the plaintiff agreed to let you off the hook by doing some babysitting or something for
correct.
her. And that you babysat for her $2,000 worth or more.
Yes, it was
No,
$3,000
Your Honor, she
worth.
babysat.
You paid her $912. In what month and year did you stop paying her?
I stopped in January of '06.
When was your last payment? December of '05?
Yes, around December of '05.
Not about. When was your last payment? Did you pay her by check
December
or cash?
of '05. We always paid in cash.
So let's say January of '06, you stopped paying her because you were having financial difficulties. And what arrangements did you make?
I had went to her and told her that my husband and I were splitting up and that, I didn't really know what to do with the car. She then stated that I could work off the rest of the payments and doing daycare for her grandchildren that she had custody of.
And you're saying that that happened in January.
Yes, that happened in January.
Did that happen in January?
No, it did not.
No, it didn't happen in January. Didn't happen in January.
Yes, it did.
No. Show me. Prove to me that you started doing daycare.
I have two letters.
Show me that you started to do daycare in January of 2006.
I actually started way before that because I was also doing daycare for health and welfare children.
I'm talking about
And-
for her grandchildren.
I have two statements here from people that did use my daycare that stated that they did see her children there.
Show me your record.
I don't
your
have those
record
records.
of when the children started. You run a business. When the children started each day, when they were there, for how many days they were there, for how many hours a day. Show
Well,
me.
what I'm trying to tell you is through the health and welfare department, I get paid monthly. The only time that I ever did daycare was for low-income women that were on the health and welfare, and she was the only one that I had let come to me without going through the health and
I
welfare
understand
department.
that. That doesn't mean you don't keep records if you're paying off a debt.
We had made a deal with each other
Oh, well, tell me what the deal was.
that I would be doing daycare for her children or her grandchildren.
How many days a week?
It was about 2 days a week.
No.
Friday and
That's what
Saturday.
you see. That's what I mean. About 2 days a week.
Friday and
Is-
Saturday nights when she would go out with her
Just a
stripper
second.
daughter.
Friday and Saturday evening. From when to when?
She would drop them off about 8 p.m. and pick them up in the morning at about 10 a.m.
And you're telling me that happened every Friday night and every
It did.
Saturday night?
after her husband left her.
After
yes.
you're telling me that happened every Friday night and every Saturday
Yes.
night. Okay. And for that, you say you want to be credited for $400 a month.
That was for one child, the special needs child. The other child was $200 a month.
Did you leave the children with her every Friday and Saturday night?
No, I did not. She babysat during 1 week, and I have emails here that back up that
Can I see the emails?
Yes, I have several emails about how she will pay me, how she owes
Let
me.
me see.
There is some in there about babysitting, and I gave her $60 credit for a time that she did babysit.
Well, this is in June of '06. You say you started to take care of the children in January of '06.
I did.
You say to her, I will get more kids in my daycare, so I'll be okay next month. I also get paid twice a month, and I'm going to catch up on my car. I got a roommate so I can pay my darn bills. How is everyone?
And I don't get paid twice a month. I get paid once a month through health and welfare.
I don't care whether you get paid once or twice a month. That's not the issue. The issue is whether or not you were communicating with her with these things. Then she writes you one. August 18th, she says, could you babysit on Saturday night, maybe all night? How much would you charge for the 2 children? That's August 18th, 2006. And then finally, in October of '06, she says, you have moved, your phone is disconnected, you won't call me, you don't want to babysit off the payments, you want the police to track down the car, call me.
Those are not emails that we have wrote. Those are fictitious.
That has her
Just a
picture on it.
second.
It came through MySpace.
Which she is a computer genius. She actually tried to help me get my divorce by doing.
But then the thing I don't understand, madam, is she writes to you and she says, finally, in November of 2006, okay, I got a new job so I can finally start paying. I'm sorry it took so long. You remember sending that?
No, I don't.
Well.
None of those emails.
Absolutely.
were sent.
Absolutely, 100%. She says probably close to $1,500. Come over and pay what you can. And then, according to her complaint, she never heard from you again. Now, I want to tell you why these emails that she showed me were accurate.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You had only paid her, according to you, less than $1,000.
For all the daycare that I did do for her.
No, she released the car to you because she was a good soul. And after that, you stiffed her.
And later today,
On the restraining order, it says that I am able to get my things out of storage.
Why didn't you go get them?
Because anytime I contact Mr. Turner, he
with free babysitting.
Because she's suing you, not for the $1,500 that she says that you owe her, but she's suing you for $4,500 because she's added on late fees and whatever else. That's nonsense. So if she wanted to make up a story, she would have said probably close to $4,700. She doesn't say that. She says close to $1,500, which means she's giving you credit for $912 that you paid her in cash and for a whole lot of money for babysitting.
No, ma'am, it was $1,500 up to that point.
No, it says, how much do I owe? And you says probably close to $1,500.
Oh, okay.
That's what you say.
Well, when you make up your own emails, you probably forget what you're writing.
Oh, come on, Miss Sandoval, let me tell you something. When you buy a used car from somebody, you're supposed to pay for it. Now, usually if you buy a used car, you pay for it all at one time. She was very nice to you. She let you make payments. She not only let you make payments, but when you ran into some hard times, she said, you know what, we'll even lower the payments to $100 a month from $130. We'll lower the payments so that maybe you could make those. You couldn't make those. Then you said, we'll do a little barter. But after a while, you got tired of bartering. You did barter some, because you did babysit some, and then you make up in your own mind, I babysat enough. You know, really babysat enough. This is what the state pays me. This is what she's going to pay me. And then the car's all paid off. Not only is it paid off, but I overpaid her.
She had released the title to me, which in Idaho you cannot release the title unless it is actually paid for.
When did she release the title?
February of '06.
Listen to me. In February of '06, you had only paid her, according to you, less than $1,000.
Well, with our $500 down payment that we did also. So that would have been $1,500.
Listen to me very, very carefully. You just said to me, before you paid for the car, she signed over the title. That's what you just told me.
Well, I had paid all in cash. And then after that, I was just going to do the daycare.
But you hadn't done it. So she released the car to you in good faith, right?
For all the
She
daycare
released
that I did do for her.
No, before you did babysitting for her, madam.
I have babysat for her since
No.
her grandchild was little.
Before you started babysitting for the 2 children, Friday and Saturday night, she released the car to you because she was a good soul. And after that, you stiffed her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Not loan money to friends. I'll do what Judge Judy said.
It's fine with me. People I don't want in my life.
Not loan money to friends, not sell cars to friends. Keep friends as friends.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hartley versus Turner. Step forward, please.
Victoria Hartley is suing her ex-boyfriend, Marcus Turner, for rent, the return of property, and harassment. Victoria says Marcus is obsessed with her.
Miss Hartley, you and Mr. Turner lived together for a while. You had an apartment together. You left.
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that when you left, it was agreed that Mr. Turner would keep the apartment and pay the rent on the apartment. The apartment had been leased with a co-signer, a friend of yours. Is this your friend?
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that Mr. Turner did not pay the rent for a month, The landlord came after your friend. Your friend paid the rent. You felt obliged to reimburse her for the rent because you and Mr. Turner were living together. You want Mr. Turner to pay you that money.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the first thing. Second thing is you claim that he has some property of yours in a storage unit that you want. And the third thing is you claim he's been harassing.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Turner says you moved out of the apartment without notice, so you can pay that month's rent, that you had plenty of opportunity to get your stuff from storage, and he's got a counterclaim, and his counterclaim's rather interesting. He wants you to pay for your half of the storage. That's ridiculous, Mr. Turner. You agree, don't you? You can't say you abandoned the property and wanted to pay for the storage, right?
Well, if she wants her stuff back, I mean, I'm willing to give back her washer and dryer. That is not a problem. But, I mean, to come after me for 2 years now.
Just a second. So you're willing to give her back her washer and dryer?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. I see how easily we resolve that. Washer and dryer for you. Is it in storage, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. So you'll give her back her washer and dryer.
Your Honor.
What?
There's also a box of items that my grandmother had given to me, which she has since passed away, that I would like back.
What's in it?
There are different water pitchers. In the box is also a home interior bride and groom that she gave me when I got married.
You know where that is?
I set that on her mother's back porch. I called her cell phone, so I just left a box on your back porch. You might want to go over there. There was a couple kids across the street. They seen me, so.
It's what you're telling me, Mr. Turner. You don't have the box
No,
anymore.
I dropped the box off at her mother's house.
When?
On the back porch.
When?
Not too sure what day, maybe a year and a half ago.
All I want to know is you do have the washer and dryer. You say you don't have the box anymore.
No, I do not have that.
Doesn't have the box anymore. Now, Miss Hartley, listen to me very carefully. I read your complaint very carefully. There was a time that you went to court to get a restraining order against Mr. Turner. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
On what date was that? Do you remember?
October 2006.
And you had already separated at that time.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I've been in domestic relations courts for many, many years. When you go to domestic relations court, you are asked whether there is anything else that you need. And if you wanted to, you could have said to the judge, there is property in the storage room that I want, and he refuses to give me access to it. Did you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get an order to go and get your property?
No.
From the judge?
On the restraining order, it says that I am able to get my things out of storage.
So, why didn't you go get them?
Because anytime I contact Mr. Turner, he constantly makes it a date type thing.
Then what you do is you go back to court and say he's violated the protective order. You don't wait a year and a half and sue him for the property.
Okay.
It's been a long time. If you really wanted it, you would have gotten it. Now, on what day of the month did Miss Hartley leave the residence? Do you remember?
July, March.
July 19th, 2005.
Did you pay July's rent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pay July's rent?
Yes, ma'am.
What about August? Did you pay August's rent?
No, ma'am. I was moved out at the time.
You can't be moved out half the time,
No, I meant
Mr.
like
Turner.
there was 2 weeks left on the lease. She moved out like at the middle of the month. I just stayed because it was paid for.
When did you leave, Mr. Turner?
The end of the month.
End of July?
Yes.
And when was the lease up?
August?
So there was a month left on the lease.
I believe so.
Now, when the two of you separated, what arrangements did you make as far as staying in the apartment, Mr. Turner?
I told her I would finish staying the 2 weeks and just move out slowly. She did not have a problem with it. And
Did
that's
you
why I
say,
did.
I'll finish moving out in 2 weeks, or I'll finish moving out when the lease is over?
No, I move out in 2 weeks.
What did he say?
When I told him I was leaving, I said, what do you want to do about the apartment? Do you want me to contact the manager and tell her I'm going? He says, no, because I don't know where I'm going to live right now. I'll take care of the apartment complex. I said, are you sure? Are you going to live with your grandmother? Are you, do you have a place to go? He said, right now I don't want to live with my grandma. I'm just going to stay here till I find a place. I will let the apartment complex know when I leave. I will handle this.
Sounds right to me, Mr. Turner.
No, ma'am. Because I told her.
Did you pay anything for the month of August, sir?
No, ma'am.
Well, you have to. You had a lease. Who did you expect?
It was month to month at that time. The 4-year lease was up, and it was month to month.
Oh, so you just had to give them a 30-day notice?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you give them 30-day notice?
I didn't. No.
Well, but you were the last one in the apartment.
Yes, ma'am. Because I thought she was going to give it. I never told her not
All
to.
right. Well,
or
how much was the rent?
I believe at that time it was $570 a month.
Well, how much did you pay?
Sandra O'Reilly ended up paying the apartment complex. They wanted $804. There was some damages to the apartment. They had to replace the bathtub.
Just a sec. You lived there for a year? Mm-hmm. Good. So you pay $400, he pays $400. That's for August's rent. You didn't give 30 days notice, he didn't give 30 days notice.
If I would have known he wasn't going to say anything to the apartment complex, I would have paid for at least half of August.
Well, that's what you're doing. You're paying for half of August. And he's paying for half of August.
All right.
What else?
Even after the restraining order, Marcus has still called the store where I work at and the store I left from. I've had to transfer to 3 different stores, so he finally will stop calling. He hasn't stopped calling. He still calls the stores where I'm at.
What do you call her for?
I do not call her. I don't know where she lives. I don't know where she works. I have no idea what her phone number is. I can't call somebody if I don't know where they live, where they work.
Do you have any
or-
proof of his calling?
Yes, ma'am. You
Let's
want
see.
the records before or after the restraining order?
Let me see the records after the restraining order.
I just need the date of the restraining order. Restraining order was dated 10/05/2006. The highlighted ones are the past stores that I've worked at.
How do I know they're coming from him?
If you look at the top of the bill, it'll say his name and his cell phone number.
How did you get these?
I sent an email to Sprint and told him I was taking him to court and wanted phone records.
Is your phone number 810?
That was one of the stores I was at, yes, ma'am.
Whose number ends in 3753?
That was the store I went to in July, and then he had come up to the store and said he was somebody else, left his cell phone number, wanted to know was I dating anybody. I don't see why he has to keep calling the stores where I'm at, asking about me, driving past my house, if he doesn't have any of my items except the washer and dryer in storage.
Why do you call her?
I do not call her.
Well, you did. These are your phone records.
There was a time that I
These are your
did because we was
these
working.
these are your phone records.
All right.
December and January. Clearly, you made phone calls to her places of employment. There's no reason for you to call her places of employment. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't call her anymore, sir.
Okay.
You want to tell me in 10 seconds about your counterclaim?
I know you done dismissed it, so.
I didn't
mean,
do
it's
that
kinda-
yet, but I'm going to.
I hear for like a year and a half, she did not want her washer and dryer. Now she's coming back for it. I think she's owes me half the storage. I mean, it was in there. I gave her 4 opportunities to let her come get it. My
I
one
don't
witness.
listen to me.
and
Mr.
it's-
Turner, I don't know why she's here, sir. I have no clue why she's
Exactly.
here. She's going to get her $400 for your half of the rent for August
All right.
2006 because that you should have paid. Neither one of you gave 30 days notice. She didn't give 30 days notice. You didn't give 30 days notice.
True.
If her friend who co-signed for you had to come up with that money and she reimbursed her friend, it's only reasonable and fair that you be the
true.
responsible.
No, very true.
Okay, the washer and dryer is laying in storage. She wants it.
Yes.
You give it to her. The two of you never had an agreement that she was going to pay for the storage. There was never a contract that she was going to pay any part of the storage. That's why your counterclaim is dismissed.
Okay.
Do you understand? Thank you very much. Goodbye. Good luck. Have a happy life. You out of a car.
Yes, ma'am.
Your mother says that she did, in fact, purchase it from you and paid you for it. Tell me about the car. When did you buy it?
I purchased the car on February 9th, 2006.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $400 for the car.
Who did you purchase it from?
It was a friend of my uncle's.
What kind of car was it?
It's a 97 Pontiac Sunfire.
Okay. Now I'll hear your story.
Okay. On July 31st, 2006, I went into labor with my daughter.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
Are you married?
No,
Who do you live with?
my father.
Go ahead.
We had contacted my mother while we were at the hospital. Her engine had blown up in her car. When she arrived at the hospital, she asked to borrow my car because that way she could come back when I actually went into labor.
And you said, yes, you can borrow my car.
Yes, I did. The agreement was 2 weeks. After my mother had borrowed the car, after the 2 weeks, we had talked again, and at the time, I wasn't working.
What month was this?
This was probably around the end of October, beginning of November.
So she's had the car now August, September, and October for
Yes,
3
ma'am.
months. So far, is that correct that you were using your daughter's car for 3 months?
August, September, and 2 weeks of October.
Okay.
So she told me there was a couple things wrong with the car. Since I wasn't working, I couldn't afford to pay for it. And the insurance was $152 in my name. So she told me that if I signed the title and we put it in both of our names, that she could get cheaper insurance. She would, pay for it and give it back to me since I couldn't work and I had my daughter.
Okay. So?
So I went ahead, I signed the back of the title, and her boyfriend George, he came to my house and picked up the title, and my boyfriend's mother had gone to bingo and met up with my mom, and that's when my mom had told her that I had sold her the car and that she wasn't giving it back.
Did she ever give you any money for the car?
No, ma'am.
Who paid for the insurance the 3 months that your mother had the car from August, September, and October?
My mom paid, but I had to pay for 1 month because I got a cancellation notice in the mail saying,
Which month?
I believe it was September.
Did she pay you back for September's?
No.
How many months of insurance did you pay for, Miss Steck?
Did I pay for it too?
Okay. Now I'll hear your story.
Okay. July 31st, my daughter went into labor. I was on my way to work when I got the phone call. A friend had picked me up to take me to work. She had called me and said she was in labor. My boyfriend had met me at the hospital where she was having the baby. I had asked if I could borrow the car so that I could come back and see her and the baby. I came back at 2 o'clock in the morning. I asked if I could borrow the car for a little while longer, and she said yes. So I took the car home. I let her know, I believe it was about 2.5, 3 weeks later, that I needed to keep the car a little longer.
And you had been driving the car?
Correct.
Keep going.
Okay. In September, I had noticed that Jacqueline's tags had expired on her car. I called Jackie, and I said, well, Jackie, you are going to have to get this car re-inspected because it is past the 60 days to put tags on the car. I said, there's a couple of things that you're probably going to have to fix because it's been since April that she had the car inspected. And she says, well, I can't afford to keep the car on the road with the insurance. I can't afford to get the car re-inspected and get it fixed. And I said, well, Jackie, I still need a car. I said, I'll buy the car from you and give you the $400 that you paid for the car since you don't want it anyway. And she was like, that's fine. I got a phone call from her father. Her father, whom I do not get along with, wants to know when I'm going to give her back the car.
Show me proof that you paid her for the car.
It was my daughter.
Show me proof that you paid her for the car.
I don't have any. So her father called me and said that, I need to give her her car back. I said she's welcome to come and get the car anytime that she wants. Then I would talk to Jackie. Jackie's like, no, I don't want the car.
Why didn't you just, listen, you're driving her car now for 3 months. If you had to go and rent a car, you couldn't have done that for less than $200 a month. That's clear. So why didn't you just say to your daughter, because I've been using your car for 2.5 months, and because it's not a new car, and if it needs things, could be because of the way I drove it, the mileage I put on the car, I'll have it fixed, I'll have it inspected, I'll take care of it for you, honey. Thanks for letting me use it for the last 3 months.
It wasn't 3 months, Your Honor. It was only for a month and a half.
No, wrong. August, that's when you took it. September, and according to you, 2 weeks into October. That's 3 months. Because when you lease a car, if you only use it for 2 weeks, you pay for the whole month, right? That's what a mother does. Mother doesn't say, oh, this is a real good opportunity for me to get myself a good car.
That's not what I did.
That's exactly what you did. Did you say to your daughter, listen, you did me a favor, I'll take care of getting the car inspected, tagged. Did you say that to her?
No,
That's
I did
what
not.
a mother does. That's what a mother does. Where's the car title?
The one in my name or the one in hers?
The one in your name. Bird, figure out where she signs that title back to her daughter.
Where it says seller.
Yeah, signature seller up here. Sign and print your name.
Give the title to the plaintiff, please, Bird. Go pick up your car, madam.
Seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. Torres, you moved in with the defendant and her children while you were separated from your wife. I assume this is your wife, sir, is that right?
Yes.
And it is your claim that when you decided to return to your wife and reconcile with your family, the defendant kept and/or destroyed some property that belongs to you. The defendant says you had ample opportunity to get what you wanted. Whatever you didn't take with you, she got rid of. She is counterclaiming because she says that because of your broken promises, she lost wages. She's going to explain that to me. When did you and your wife separate, sir?
March of 2006.
And when did you move in with the defendant?
April, can't recall it. June 4th.
And when did you meet her?
I met her through my boss, which is her brother.
When?
In May.
Where had you been living between March and May?
My mother's house.
So you met her in May and you moved in with her in June?
June.
First mistake. Where did you move in with her, sir?
And where she used to live in Falmouth.
Falmouth?
Yes,
In a house or an apartment?
an apartment.
How old are your children?
I have a 5-year-old and an 18-month-old.
Where's their father? Don't know.
Gone. Yeah,
Gone.
don't know.
Were you working?
Yes.
Who were you working for at the time?
Stop and Shop and Dunkin' Donuts.
Who was taking care of the children when you worked?
They were in daycare full-time.
Was that subsidized daycare?
Yeah.
Okay. So you move in,
Yes.
and then what happened, Mr. Torres?
Everything was getting fine. I was missing my kids a lot.
You have to speak slowly, Mr. Torres, because I'm going to try to follow you.
Okay.
Everything was going fine. You were missing your kids a lot, is what I got. Now you're going to try to speak a little slower and keep your voice up so I can hear you. See how I'm speaking and projecting? You don't have any trouble hearing me, right?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Good. Go ahead. Everything was going fine. You were missing your children, and
I spoke with her that I would like to get closer to my kids. And she agreed to move closer so I could be near my kids after work.
so you said, I want to be closer to my kids. I miss them. Would you move?
No, I didn't explain just like that. I asked her if we could. I didn't force her to.
Nobody said you forced her, but you said, I want to be closer to my kids. I want to move with you and your kids.
Yes,
So she moved.
we did.
How far away from where she was living did she move?
I don't know the exact mileage.
Time, 15 minutes, 20 minutes,
no.
a half hour.
About an hour.
An hour.
45 to an hour.
So her children also were taken out of daycare.
Yes.
And she didn't have her jobs anymore.
She had transferred.
What do you mean she transferred? What does
She
that mean?
transferred her first job that she first had. In Dunkin' Donuts, she couldn't get transferred. And then she transferred her kids' daycare vouchers over to a new one in town.
So she relocated her whole family because of you. And when did she do that?
We moved in December 1st.
12/1/06. So between June and December, you and the defendant lived together.
Yes.
And in December, you relocated this family to be closer to your children.
Yes.
And then what happened, Mr. Torres?
I received a Christmas postcard from my wife and kids. She takes my picture with my kids on it and my wife and cuts my wife's face off and posts it on the fridge. And from there, everything went downhill.
So when did you move out?
I moved out before Christmas. It was like December 22nd, 2006.
So she lived in this new location close to your children for 3 weeks with you.
Yes.
So what are you suing for, Mr. Torres?
Just all my personal property.
Like what?
So Nintendo GameCube, stereo equipment, clothing, hats, bed.
And how much is all that stuff worth, sir?
Close to $2,000.
How much was the rent on the apartment?
It's 10:30. I actually had subsidized housing, so it was $170.
So he was getting the advantage of subsidized housing. They didn't know he was living there, right?
No.
Because if they knew he was living there,
I would lose
it would have been $1,000
Yes.
a month, right?
Yes.
Between June and December.
Yes.
Now, what happened with your second job?
They cut my pay and they cut my hours, and I had no idea when I was being transferred, because if I knew that, I wouldn't have transferred my job.
Yes, you would have.
Well,
What, sir?
Excuse me. The reason that she stopped working for Stop and Shop is because of pay related. They did not drop her hours. She had the same hours, but it was a lot of money that she was missing up a week of her check, and that's the reason she quit.
So?
So she did not lose her job because of me.
She did.
Okay.
She did.
Can I call my wife up here?
No, I don't need your wife. You were a big boy enough to leave your wife. You were a big boy enough to have this lady with her 2 children relocate closer to your children so you could be more comfortable, so you didn't have to travel. So she relocated herself. Her 2 children, took them out of daycare where they were comfortable, where she had 2 jobs. Nobody's asking you a question.
Okay.
I mean, you knew that he was living with her, right? You knew he was living with her, right?
Not in the beginning, no, I didn't. But she also knew that we had problems previously, and we've always worked our problems out.
Listen,
she knew she was
Miss
getting
Torres,
involved with
Miss
a married
Torres,
man.
listen to me. Shh. I got what happened.
The story's not straight.
Miss Torres.
I'm sorry.
When you wake up in the morning for 8 months and you don't find your husband sleeping next to you in the bed, that's not a fight. That's not a disagreement. That's a separation. And while I think it's dumb on the part of any woman to get involved with a guy who's just separated from his family, and dumber to relocate and uproot her children and her life, there's no question in my mind that you sent a Christmas card with your picture in it in order to irritate them a little bit. That doesn't say you're not entitled to do it. Don't speak. Don't speak. And I want to tell you something. I wouldn't have put up her picture on my refrigerator either if I were her. Put your hand down, smarty pants.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You know how much sympathy I have for you? That much. 0. Less than 0.
And later today,
What happened was that
I don't care what happened. This is a contract.
Yeah.
Who signed it?
I did.
Period.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jose Torres claims ex-girlfriend Janice Semeno threw away his belongings. Janice is countersuing for lost wages.
So far, you caused a lot of trouble, Mr. Torres. You don't ask somebody to relocate their life and turn their life upside down unless you are 100% sure that you're prepared to make a commitment.
I was committed.
Excuse me?
Everything got a lot stressful when we moved in to Taunton from Falmouth.
You told me things got stressful when your wife sent you a Christmas picture with herself in it. And she cut the picture out, which is exactly what I would have done.
Prior to that...
Exactly what most women would have done. Cut out the picture of your wife.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Put your hand down and don't speak.
Prior to that, Your Honor, we were having the problems with her jobs. She was getting a little bit of stressful.
Was she stressful between June and December with her job?
No, she wasn't.
Because everything was nice. She had 2 jobs, she had daycare, then she relocated, and then she had stress. It was your fault. You get where I'm going, Mr. Torres.
No, I don't.
Well, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry for your wife. I'm sorry for your children. You should get where I'm going. Bird gets where I'm going. The 50 or some odd people out here get where I'm going, sir. And if you don't get where I'm going, there's something missing up here. Now, what happened to his property?
I called him for my sister's December 23rd, and I said, you need to come meet me if you want your belongings. He said, I don't want them. You can throw them away. You can burn them. I don't care what you do with it. So I got rid of all his clothes, his hats, because what do I want with it?
When did you get rid of them?
Most of the stuff was on that day. I got rid of it.
Okay, because you were pretty angry.
Yes.
So whether he told you to get rid of the stuff or he didn't tell you to get rid of the stuff, you would have gotten rid of the stuff anyway.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Now tell me about it when he left. Tell me about what happened when he just walked out of the house without his clothes or anything else.
He was a mess. He came back from work and he was drunk. And he'd tell me, going home to my wife, I'm going back to my kids. And I told him continuously, I said, Jose, I'm not going to move unless, you know what I mean, you're going to be with me and stay with me. I'm not going to move to Taunton if you're going to go back with your wife. And that's what happened. He up and left.
It's a very stupid thing to do. And what
Yes.
happened to his entertainment center?
I have his speakers, and I asked him if he wanted them, and he said no.
Put your hand down. You know how much sympathy I have for you? That much. 0. Less than 0, if that's possible. You have his bed?
Yeah, what happened was when we lived at Falmouth, I got rid of my bed, and he brought his bed.
So you got rid of your bed
Yes,
and
I
took
did.
his bed. He doesn't get the bed back. What else?
Yes. There's the Nintendo GameCube, which my son plays with, but...
Why?
I got a list if you want to see it.
I don't care to see your list.
Okay.
She threw away a lot of stuff when you left, which is probably what I would have done if you left. You left, you're not there, you didn't take your stuff, goodbye. Stuff goes in the garbage.
Leave, Your Honor.
But she has your speakers. What else
yes.
do you have of his?
I have his VCR, if you'd like that.
Okay, good.
And his digital camera.
Okay, I want you to box those things and get them out of your house.
Okay.
Within 5 days, he's going to pay the cost of putting it in UPS or the post office or whatever.
Okay.
Excuse me. I really need to speak because he did not get the story out the right way. He's very nervous. He doesn't know exactly what to say. He was buying back his own property. She did not offer to give it back to him.
I don't care whether she offered to give it back to him or
He offered
not.
to give her money. She checked off that he could get his own property with police
Good.
escorts.
And
We
I
went,
went
and she said she threw it away.
Good. You said it now? You happy?
No, there's a lot more to it.
I'm not
And-
interested in a lot more. I got the general gist of it. Your husband?
You did it
your
because
husband,
he didn't explain
don't,
it right.
Don't speak. Your husband left you, not because of her, because he
I
didn't meet her for a
actually leave. I
while.
just got separated from her to take a part time from each other.
She kicked him out.
Just a second. Then if you need time, Mr. Torres, to decide what you're going to do, is that what you're telling me? Is that what you're telling me? You needed time to figure out what you were going to do?
No, we just need time away from each other.
Then you don't move in with somebody else and dislocate them from a life. Do you understand that? Do you understand that?
I understand that, but I didn't do that.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You moved in with somebody else. If you want to take time away from your wife and see if the relationship can be put back together again, you do not move in with somebody else just because it's comfy. Do you understand? That's
Yes,
what
I
you
do,
did.
but I didn't do that exactly like that.
Get mad. Speak up.
Huh?
Mr. Torres,
Speak up.
your wife may not want to acknowledge it, but that is precisely what you did. She did not handcuff you and tie you to her bed. From June of 2006 until December of 2006, you shared the defendant's bed, You shared her life. You convinced her to move and relocate to be closer to your children. That's what you just told me, sir.
No, I
you
did not
told
convince
me
her. We
that you
agree
wanted
on.
her to move closer.
But I did not force her to do it.
Listen, those are the things that you're getting back. Period. End of discussion. Let me explain something to you. You don't get awarded money for stupidity. You don't pick up your life and relocate for a married guy. And if you do so on a promise and a prayer, courts aren't here to help you. You have to understand that. His wife doesn't get it because she prefers not to get it. He didn't go and move into a room in somebody's house while they were trying to work out their problems. He found it more comfortable to be in your house, living with you. And she thinks that's your fault. That's not your fault. She's angry at the wrong person. She should be angry at him because it was his choice to move in with you, and it was his choice to move into another apartment with you. It was his choice. He was more comfortable living that way while he was figuring out what to do with his marriage. So her anger is misplaced, and I don't want to hear about it. So you get your property back. The stuff that she just mentioned, sir. Other than that, you get nothing. I'm dismissing her counterclaim because, unfortunately, the law doesn't permit her to have a counterclaim for her own acts of misguided love and affection and your promises that you were going to be with her. Law doesn't permit
I ain't made
that.
any promises.
Get out of here.
Excuse, you may step out. Wait here, please.
He didn't get the story straight. He was very nervous. He had a hard time talking.
He was already separated and lived in his own place.
She chose to deal with a married man.
I had no idea. He told me after we were together.
13 years we've been together. We've had our separations. You know, he's always come back.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Rendon versus Cepeda. Step forward, please.
24-year-old Tanya Rendon is suing her ex-roommate, 23-year-old Crystal Cepeda, for 2 months' rent and utility bills. Tanya says Crystal was a disrespectful roommate.
Miss Rendon, Miss Cepeda was your roommate. According to you, she owes you a couple of months' rent and some utility bills. Miss Cepeda says you told her to leave the apartment. She owes you nothing. Who signed the lease to the apartment?
I did.
So it was just in your name?
No, it's both of our names, but she never stopped by the office to sign it.
Listen to me, Miss Rendon. If she didn't sign the lease was in your name.
It was printed with both of our names, but she...
Show me the lease. I mean, are you not following what I'm saying?
Yeah. What happened was that
I don't care what happened. This is a contract.
Yeah.
This is the only contract that exists with the landlord. Who signed it?
I did.
Period. We're going to start again. Okay. And I'm going to try to come down. You moved into the apartment. The lease is in your name only. Is that correct?
Yes.
But you moved in together.
Yes.
And according to you, you had an arrangement with her that you would split all the rent and all the utilities on this apartment. Lease is from September 1st, 06 to February 28th, 07. Yes. When did you move out?
I moved out January 31st.
Now, according to what I read, you paid January's rent, and then you went and withdrew money from the bank so that the check bounced.
Right.
Now, you try to explain to me why you do not owe January's rent if you lived there, according to you, until January 31st.
Because I wasn't really staying there.
I don't give a rat's behind whether you were really staying there or not. Your things were there.
Right.
So you owe January's rent.
Yes.
I would like to say something, Your Honor. She agreed to stay there till March 1st.
Why don't you be quiet?
Okay.
How much was your half of the rent?
$590.
Put your hand down. So far you owe her $590 for the month of January because you can't give her a bad check for January. Do you understand?
Yes.
Did you pay the utilities in January?
No, I did not.
How much are the utilities in January? January only.
January, they're $90 a month.
So far, that's $680. Now, according to you, she also owes for February. Now you can tell me why she owes for February when she moved out January 31st.
When she first moved in, the agreement was that she was going to pay $590 a month until March 1st. It was a 6-month lease. Throughout that time, she kept paying her rent late. She also was very disrespectful to the point that she had people have sex in our apartment with me there.
Wow.
Tell me about February, because so far you haven't told me about February.
I couldn't find a roommate. Obviously, I had to come up with the money to cover for February because she just pretty much left. She didn't even bother cleaning the room.
She says that you told her to leave. Is that right?
2 weeks before the end of January, she told me that she had found a new roommate that would be moving in in the beginning of February.
Who that was?
She told me a girl that she found on Craigslist would be moving into the apartment.
So you decided to terminate this roommate relationship
Yes.
well prior to January 31st.
Yes.
Because you had discussed moving out.
Right.
You say it was her fault. She says it's your fault. It was clear from reading the complaint and answer that the two of you did not have compatible lifestyles.
Right.
All right. Go ahead.
So in January, at the middle of January, I decided, I guess I don't have a choice. She had notified me that I would have to be leaving the apartment because she found a new roommate, and so I decided, okay.
Where did you find this new roommate?
She was a friend of my ex-roommate, one of my ex-roommates.
And when did she move in?
She moved in March 1st.
So you had to cover the rent yourself in February,
Yes,
right?
I did.
That's too bad. She owes you $680 for January. Anything else?
No.
Anything else?
The bills, I mean, she didn't pay for the bills for January.
$680. Get over it. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Hesevich, it is your complaint that because of the defendant's conduct in reporting certain behavior that really never happened on your part, that you lost your job. You want to be compensated for that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the defendants say that they had some business dealings with you. They found your conduct unacceptable. They reported that to your boss, and they had a legitimate right to do that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. What kind of business were you in?
I sold gutter cover to keep debris out of gutters.
And how long had you worked for them?
About 4 or 5 months.
How did you find the defendants, or they found you?
They called in, I think, on a radio ad.
Is that true?
That's correct, Your Honor. Yeah.
Okay. What happened that caused you to call and make a complaint about the plaintiff?
Your Honor, basically it was just Karen's behavior. We were very interested in the product. It looked very good, and I expressed to her in the beginning.
Tell me what the product looks like.
It's actually a sheet metal device that goes over your gutter to deflect the needles and leaves off the gutter and allow the water to go in. Awesome product. Anyhow, we were very interested in the product. Karen came out to the house. We asked her to do an estimate. She left me with a tape and a sample of the product. I expressed to her that I wanted my wife to see the tape because she wasn't home at the time.
What date was that?
I believe that was the Saturday, the 24th, I believe was that was the date, yeah. Anyhow, she expressed to me that she needed the tape back. It was her last tape. And I clearly understood that and promised her we'd get it back to her. My wife got home late that evening, didn't get a chance to view the tape. The next day, she did, which was a Sunday. We in turn decided at that point that we had some friends that would be interested in the product as well. So we figured we'd hang on to it till Monday and get it back to her. Over the weekend, Karen left several nasty grams on my telephone, on my cell phone, expressing her desire to get the product back.
The tape back.
Right. Come Monday, she made a phone call or two to the house, which my wife, Whitney, answered, and she can tell you basically what took place there.
She called me on the phone. She called me on the phone and she says, I really need to get my tape back. And I said, well, I got a friend that owns a gutter company, and I wanted to let them see it to see if they thought it was credible, that it might work. And she goes, well, I really need to get my tape back. I says, well, do you only have one tape? She goes, yep, I only have one tape. I go, well, okay, fine. I said, come get it. And she did.
On what date did she come?
It was on Monday evening.
Okay.
Which would have been the 26th, Your Honor.
Okay,
Yeah,
so what
26.
happened when plaintiff came and got the tape?
At that point, Your Honor, I'd arrived home from work, and I got a knock on the door, and it was Karen. She was obviously upset. I said nothing at first, went and got the tape, handed it to her, and said, I apologize that you didn't get it back as quick as you wanted based on the messages I retrieved. She was obviously upset. She got cranky with me and, grabbed it out of my hands and was obviously not real happy about the whole thing. And I said, Karen, the product that you're representing is awesome. I love it. We're interested in it. But the way you're treating me, I'm not going to buy anything from you. Her response was, I don't want to sell you anything. And I said, fine. Then I asked her to leave or I'd call the police. Now, several days went by, and I got a subpoena served to our house, and it referred to a Bruce Hesevich who was suing us for something. Now, I never met a Bruce. I haven't got a clue who Bruce was. So I was shocked. I didn't know what it was all about. In doing further research, I recognized the last name, which is on the back of her flyer, Hesevich and then Karen. So
What kind of subpoena did you get?
I got a small claim subpoena that said my wife and I, who she never met, Your Honor, were being sued for loss of income, libel, malicious behavior, slander, and so on.
May I see it, please?
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
Well, you left that part out.
I beg your pardon,
sir.
ma'am. I did call the gutter people I spoke to, Mr. Steve, and I expressed my interest in this product. And I said a lady named Karen came to our house to show your product over the weekend, left us a tape. We wanted to view the tape for a longer period of time. She took it back, was very upset with me for keeping it. Can you please send me another tape? And he said, well, you're saying Karen? And I'm saying, yes, Karen. He says, well, I have no Karen working for me. He goes, there is a Bruce that works for me in that area. You sure it wasn't a man? I says, no, it was a lady named Karen. Fine, I'll send you a copy of the tape. Then a short while after that, we had a sheriff come to our house looking for us. We weren't there. We were at a PTA meeting. My boys told us.
And then you got served with
Served
this.
after, yep. Okay. And then I went down to the courthouse and filed for a jury trial, figuring I'm going to get this thing out in the open.
Okay, now I got
and
you.
Bingo.
And it would be fair to say that in your conversation with Mr. you voiced some displeasure with the salesperson.
Absolutely.
You did. You said, I don't like the way I'm
Absolutely,
being treated. I didn't like the way I was treated.
No, I'm a sales manager, Your Honor, and I think when you want to make a sale, you're
Okay.
nice to people.
Bruce and Karen, same person?
Yes.
Okay, so that's both you. Now, when you went to work for this gutter cover company, did you interview with this Mr.?
Yes. I actually did sales before I ever met him, and then...
For the same company?
Yeah, I was working for the previous franchisor, and he came down after that. I sold several deals before that.
When you interviewed and worked for them previously, you worked for them as Bruce.
Right.
To your knowledge, did this Mr. know that you were also Karen?
We had talked about it. I called the office and said that there would be a person as Karen out there, and that my hair was long, and that people do see me as a woman.
You intend to maintain that persona?
Yes.
My problem, Ms. Hasevic, is that you seem to ascribe some behavior to the defendants, which is actionable. Why do you believe that they do not have a right to call your employer and say, I'm dissatisfied with the kind of treatment that I got from your rep. I like the product. I'm interested in buying the product. And if your employer decides, for whatever reason, to let you go, why do you feel as if you have the right to sue the defendants?
Because when I talked to Steve on Tuesday, he told me that the severity of their complaint against me was such that he had to believe that they were telling the truth. I told him they were not telling the truth, and then I told him exactly what happened. And as she said, she told me to come out and pick up the tape. On the phone call, she did not say that. She hung up on me. And I have copies of the phone call that was made to him. He said I made several threatening phone calls.
You went out there to get the tape?
Yes.
No, I said
What
nasty grams. I didn't say phone call.
Nasty grams.
Yeah, on my cell phone.
When you went out there to get the tape, tell me what happened.
Well, I got out of my car. Their kids yelled from the top of the deck that the lady from the gutter is here. And I heard her yelling at her kids, I don't want to talk to her. Tell them to go down to the basement door and talk to the father. And so they came out and told me that. So I went around under the deck into the basement door that they have there. He opened the door part way and handed me the tape, and he said some remarks to me. And I said, well, you promised to have it back to me by 5 p.m. on Saturday. I said, you never called? He said, oh, yes, I did. But I was at home from 3 o'clock all the way till 10 o'clock at night. There wasn't one phone call. I have a message machine on my machine.
There you go. That's why you didn't answer it.
And
sorry.
No messages were even left.
Nope. That's
So?
true.
So, yeah.
So?
And, yeah, so he didn't call to say he wasn't going to meet me. He could have left a message machine on there. He knew that the
So
tape
what did you
was
say to
important. He made some comments, and then I told him that I had to use that for sales, and that as he knew I had appointments on Monday morning, I didn't get the tape till 7 o'clock Monday night.
And?
So he says, well, you're losing more business.
You forget the golden credo,
Yep.
which is the customer's always right.
Want me to deliver the damn tape? I'm sorry.
The customer's always right. Because you had a real live customer there. You had a customer who was really interested in your product.
$6 grand.
Listen,
I'm sorry.
that's a hothead. Let me ask you this question. Why didn't you call Gutter and have them give you another tape?
I had sent a memo up to him on Monday morning saying that I need another tape.
Why didn't you go there?
Oh, they're out of Seattle, and I'm in Portland, Oregon.
Oh, so they have to send it to you.
Yeah.
Why did you wait until you were down to your last tape?
I only had one tape all the time.
Well, that sounds like a not very good policy. What happens if that
That's
tape?
all the company gives.
Well, that's kind of stupid.
Right, yeah.
You don't have a cause of action, Ms. Hasevic. He has an absolute right to call the company and say, I don't like her attitude. I don't like the way she spoke to me. I was interested in your product. I'm still interested in your product. He's not trying to put one over on these people. He's calling and saying, listen, your lady who you sent out here was rude. She took off. She doesn't want to do business with me. I'm still interested in doing business with your company. Send me another tape and send me another rep. And if by virtue of that statement, Mr. let you go as the rep for the company in your area, so be it. It may also have been that Mr., and I don't know, he's not here, was not happy about not knowing what gender person was going out. He thought it was one gender, and it turned out to be a different gender. That's possible, too. That coupled with what they said, listen, I don't need this aggravation. But they have a right to call.
Yes.
They have a right to make a complaint. That's what the First Amendment's all about. So your claim is dismissed, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Basically what happened as a result of this individual not being honest.
Some people can lie and get away with it.
Honesty is the best policy. You know, she should have been honest and she wasn't.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Culp versus Deason. Step forward, please.
Jeffrey Culp and his wife Nancy are suing Nancy's daughter, 23-year-old telemarketer Christy Deason, for the cost to bail her out of jail and for an unpaid loan to get back on her feet.
Mr. and Mrs. Culp, this is your daughter, is that right?
My stepdaughter.
And how long have you been married to her mother?
We've been married for 9 years, been together a total of 16.
And how old was Miss Deason when you came into her life?
8 years old.
Is that right? Yes. Your lawsuit says that your daughter owes you some money for bail, and then some money that you loaned her to help her get back on her feet after a series of mishaps and missteps. The total of those loans is under $1,000.
That's correct.
Your daughter says that there was never an agreement to pay that money back. These were not loans. This was what family does for each other when they're in trouble. And Mr. and Mrs. Culp, I'm here to tell you that I've read your complaint, and quite simply, the complaint says she called you one night a year and a half ago from jail. She had been arrested for what?
Possession of marijuana.
And she said, please come and bail me out. You did.
That's correct.
And then later on, you loaned her money for some clothes and some startup money so that she could get on her feet. So I have a question for you. I don't believe in going to court when you have family, mother, child, father, child, child against parent, unless it's so much money that it really is life-altering money. $987 doesn't come under the category to me of life-altering money for anybody. Is that a fair statement?
That is a fair
statement. This is
statement,
not life-altering money. So then you tell me why you chose to make an issue of this money, and I'm sure there have been other monies, but why you chose to make an issue of this money rather than just saying, look, I'm not going to loan her any more money, I'm going to write this off. Explain that to me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I do take care of my son. I do not get child support.
Where's his father?
He doesn't help me.
Why doesn't he help you?
I've got an answer for that, Your Honor. He's useless.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jeffrey and Nancy Culp say their daughter, Christy Deason, owes for bail money and an unpaid loan.
Go ahead.
Well, Your Honor, the money is of little consequence. There has been a history of loans made to Christy. We put her into an apartment. We paid her utilities to get her set up on her own. I spent a year with her child in my custody, living in my home. I paid all of his expenses and his medical bills. We took care of all of his clothing, his food, his shelter. And these are all things that I did because I am a grandfather.
Where was she?
She lived in South Carolina at the time. She was unable to care for him. None of that I'm asking for. This is a case of teaching her some responsibility. I don't think that I or my wife should be responsible for taking care of stupid things like going to jail and fines. We did bail her out of jail. We did move her into our home. We bought her clothing. We set her up with a job. I gave her a car, and she never started the job the first day. She went back to South Carolina and back into her old life.
Where was your grandson all this time?
He was in my custody.
Where is
now,
he?
when she went back to South Carolina, she did take him back with her.
How is he doing?
He's doing very well right now.
Good. With his mother?
That's correct.
Good. And what are you doing now?
I'm a telemarketer, and I wait tables in evenings.
Who takes care of your son?
The school. I got it arranged where I work on the weekends, waiting tables at night, and he goes to his grandmother's house on his father's side.
Where's his father?
He's in South Carolina as well, but he doesn't help me at all.
Well, what does he do?
He sells cars.
Why doesn't he help you?
I don't know. He's court ordered too, and he switched jobs.
I've got an answer for that, Your Honor. He's useless.
Oh. Good.
Yeah.
He's useless.
Right.
Would it be a fair statement, Mr. Culp, that your daughter seems to be putting things in order at this point?
She is. She is trying. She's maintaining a home. She maintains my grandson. She works 2 jobs.
Great. So why now have you decided to bring this lawsuit?
Because Christy and I have had this conversation over and over again throughout the past year. I have asked her to, if need be, pay $5 a week toward what she owes. You know?
And? Christy, let me hear.
I just don't have the money. I pay all of my bills by myself. I do take care of my son. Like I said, I do not get child support, so I just don't have the money.
Well, let me ask you this question. Sounds to me as if your stepfather has been more like a father to you. Fair statement?
Right.
And what it sounds to me is that both your stepfather and your mother are saying they don't really care about money. They would like you to make some sort of a showing of responsibility. So even if you sent them $5 a month, which you can afford, believe me, you blow that on nonsense, right?
Right.
$5 a month, $1 a week, right?
Right.
A couple of cents a day. They would like you to say to them, by that demonstration, I'm acknowledging that I am responsible for these things, my fines, my bail, the things that I did to get myself into trouble. You have a problem with that?
Well, I think, I helped my parents out when he was in time of need. I was 16. I was going to school. I was working in the evenings after school. I would give them my check every week to help pay bills. And I figured I did this for 2 years. When I helped them, I figured that in a time
Were you also living in the house?
I was.
Were you also
Your
eating?
Honor, we're talking about a 16-year-old child that worked 10 to 12 hours a week in a fast food restaurant and brought me $20 to feed her and her child.
I worked more than that.
Fine. How much money did you give them?
It was almost $200 every week. Because I worked all day on Saturday and Sundays. And then during the week, after school, I would go in at 5 and I wouldn't get out of there until 11 o'clock at night.
And who was taking care of your son?
My parents did help until my dad couldn't do it anymore and my guidance counselor decided to help me.
But they did, for a while.
Right.
Quite a while, Your Honor.
How long is quite a while?
We did this for 2 years.
Now, Miss Deason, what I'm suggesting to you is that you were found guilty and were arrested for the commission of a crime. It may have been your time of need, but when a court says, I want you to pay this fine, they don't mean I want your parents to pay the fine. You're supposed to pay the fine to teach you a lesson. Do you understand? There's a difference. You're supposed to pay the fine so that it hurts you in the pocketbook, not so that it hurts them in the pocketbook, so that it hurts you. That's different from if the family loses a job or something and everybody has to pitch in a little bit more, or if you go have a baby when you're 15 years old so that the household needs more money so that you're helping out a little bit more and they're helping out a little bit more. That's what family does for each other. But when you commit a crime and you're ordered to pay a fine, it's supposed to hurt you. It's supposed to make you think twice about doing it again. Do you understand?
Yes.
So, in that regard, they're right. And I think that they would be happy with $5 a month, just as long as you're saying, I admit that I did something wrong, and I am going to be responsible by paying the fines for the crime that I committed. Fair?
Very fair, Your Honor.
Very good. On those terms, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $987. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Domzalski versus Wilson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Domzalski, according to your complaint, Mr. Wilson used to be your boyfriend. He's not your boyfriend anymore, and he assaulted you twice. After he assaulted you, I assume you had nothing to do with him.
That's correct.
How long were you involved with him for this assault?
Well, I dated him originally back when I was in high school.
How old are you now?
I'm 22. When I had first dated him, I was 16. And then we broke up, and we got back together in August 11th of 2004.
When was the assault?
January 10th, 2005.
Tell me about it.
Well, Brian and I we were at a bar, and we had gotten into an argument. He mentioned something about a friend of his who I had dated while we were separated, and how he was going to come back into town, and he wanted to see how I was going to react to his friend being back in town to see if we're going to try to reunite.
Mr. Wilson, you're going to get a chance.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
So we were arguing about that, and I told him, I wouldn't cheat on you. I care too much about you. And so he left the bar. He wound up leaving. So I went after him to make amends,
Why would you go after him to make amends? What had you done wrong?
I hadn't done anything wrong. I was just trying to talk to him, just to make sure, that we were okay, because I didn't want it to end on that.
What had you been drinking?
A beer, a Corona.
And you?
A Corona.
How many?
I had like 1 or 2.
Let's say 2.
Okay.
What about you?
I had probably about 1.5 before I got fed up.
Let's go to 2.
2.
So you've had a couple of beers and you're arguing at the bar. You couldn't argue at home?
That's how it goes every time we went out. Every time we went out, it was a big scene.
Okay. So now you're outside trying to make amends for something that you didn't do. What happened outside?
Outside, I went to my car to retrieve his jacket because he was like, I'm walking home, and I offered him a ride, and he refused. So
what did you say? You said, don't walk, I'll drive you home?
Yes, I said, I will take you to the house. And
how far is the house from the bar?
About 5 minutes driving.
How long walking?
I don't know, like a half an hour maybe. I'm not really sure.
How long a walk is it?
Oh, half hour.
Good. So we agree on that. So you wanted to walk home?
Yeah.
So even though he's walking home without his jacket, you went to the car, got his jacket, and followed him?
Yes.
Go ahead.
That's when we started arguing some more. He pushed me. I went into a tree. My face was bloody.
How did your face get bloody?
I was scratched up. He hit me.
You didn't say he hit you. You said he pushed you into a tree.
Yeah,
when did he hit you?
He pushed me into a tree, and he hit me also afterwards.
He hit you with an open hand or a closed hand?
Open hand.
What happened then?
I was walking along the street by the bar, and I was spitting blood. I had blood coming from my mouth. So that's when I called my sister, and I needed her to come pick me up to give me a ride back to my car because I had walked a little. It was a distance when I was walking with him because we were talking.
You were talking or fighting?
Well, we were fighting.
Go ahead.
And I was crying, spitting up blood. My face was all bloody, so I had my sister come pick me up.
How long did it take her to get there?
She was at the bar as well, so it took her like 2 minutes. She was there real quick, because she heard how upset I was.
So you and your sister came in two separate cars?
Yes.
She came, picked you up in her car, and what did you do when she picked you up in the car?
She was cleaning my face. We cleaned my face off.
And then?
And then I went back over to the house to collect my belongings to leave. And he came in, he had a piece of pizza in the microwave, and he intentionally threw it.
Just a second, hold it. You're home first, is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
And then he came home?
He came home while I was packing my belongings.
How did the pizza get into the microwave?
The pizza was already there, Your Honor.
Pizza was in the house already, and he was taking it out to heat it up?
Yes.
So he heated up the pizza in the microwave. Go ahead.
And then we continued arguing, and that's when he intentionally threw the pizza at my face.
How did he do that?
He had the pizza in his hand, and he threw it.
And it hit your face, and it burned your face?
Yes.
Okay. So he left the bar, Amy, to get away from the argument and was walking home. So what I want to know is how the argument continued.
We were arguing about financial problems.
How did it start? Who said what to whom?
I believe it was I who had said something in regards to the financial.
That sounds right. So what did you say financial?
Basically that I do a lot for him and he doesn't respect me. You know, basically trying to show him that why would I cheat on him when I'm going grocery shopping, all the bills are in my name.
So you wanted to continue the discussion?
Yes.
You weren't
I
just
wasn't trying to argue.
You wanted to continue the discussion, not just pack up and leave, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and he's sitting there. He's not saying a word to you.
No, he was saying things.
Not before you approached him to start the discussion again, right? I'm just figuring out what's happening here, Amy.
Okay, that's correct.
Do you understand? Mm-hmm. I'm not making any excuses for him if he hurt you. I want you to get real with what was happening that night. What was happening that night was you weren't letting it go. Because if you're assaulted and you call your sister because you were so upset and your sister comes to get you in the car, then you say to her, do me a favor, follow me to Mom's house because I'm going to stay there. Tomorrow I'll get the police and go over and pick up my stuff. But if you want to go back and continue the discussion with him, and you knew he was going home because he said, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I don't want to be involved with you anymore. I'm walking home to cool off. So you knew he was going home and you followed him home.
No, because I figured that I would get there quicker than he would and have my stuff already packed and ready to leave.
So let's see what we have. We have a timeline here. You call your sister on the phone. She has to get out to the parking lot, get into her car, start the car, come and pick you up. A couple of minutes. Then you said she helped clean you up because you were bleeding. Let's say that took another 10 minutes. So now you got 5 minutes before he's going to be home.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you go home anyway. So you expected him to be home. There's no question in my mind. So don't tell me you didn't expect him to be home yet. You expected him to be home. And you wanted to continue the discussion because you weren't ready to let it go.
Because I didn't want to be accused of something that I would never do.
What difference does it make? Somebody hits you in the face, as you allege he hit you in the face. Who cares whether he accuses you of being Mata Hari? What difference does it make? You want to get away from him.
Yes.
You don't go back into a situation where there's been, according to you, violence, and start the discussion all over again by telling him, why would I want to do something bad to you? I cook for you, I clean for you, I work for you, I do everything else for you. That's what you were telling him, right?
Yes, why would you do this to me? Basically, that's what I was trying to say, Your Honor.
What difference does it make?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How old are you?
27.
27. I'm a few years older than you are.
You don't look
and
it.
You're very, very sweet, Mr. Wilson. It's not going to help you any.
And later today,
you could have been married to this warped thinking, allowed children to reproduce with this warped thinking. So I want you to consider yourself very lucky.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Amy Dumslowski says ex-boyfriend Brian Wilson owes for burning her face with a slice of pizza. Brian says the argument started when he saw Amy dancing with another man.
Now the ball is in your court, Mr. Wilson. Don't smile at me, because let me explain something to you. How old are you?
27.
27. I'm a few years older than you are.
You don't look
and
it.
You're very, very sweet, Mr. Wilson. It's not going to help you any. And you know how long I've been eating pizza? A lot longer than you have. I never knew a pizza to fly off a plate and hit somebody in the face. How many flying pizzas did you know in your years? Never.
0.
We never knew a flying pizza. So with that in mind, Mr. Wilson, let's go back to, you're in the bar with Miss Amy.
Right.
Both had a couple of beers. Now.
I saw her dancing with somebody on the dance floor. I didn't want to stand for it, so I left the bar.
So you saw her dancing with somebody?
Right. Supposedly it was just a friend, but, you know, I don't know that friend, so it makes me feel uncomfortable. So I left the bar. I'm walking down the street. She comes running up behind me, you know, hit me, trying to pull on my shirt. She actually ripped the shirt that I had underneath my button-up shirt.
Well, tell me what she said to you as she was pulling on your shirt.
What the is my problem? Why are you leaving? You know, so as I'm walking home, she's still pulling at me, you know, yelling, you know, because when she drinks and is under the influence of other drugs, you know, she's a live wire.
Was she under the influence of other drugs?
I say so.
What other drug?
Marijuana.
Did you see her smoking marijuana that day?
Yeah.
Were you smoking marijuana
No.
that day? But she was?
Right.
Okay, keep going.
So as we continue to the house, finally, you know, she gave up, you know, after my shirt's ripped. She goes back to the car.
So you don't know anything about hitting her in the face?
I didn't. She might have caught like some buttons from trying to pull on my shirt and me just defending myself to, you know, just so I can walk home and avoid the whole situation, because we could have fought if we really wanted to fight in the bar. Okay. You know, but that's the whole reason why I walked home, so I didn't have to do that.
Go ahead.
So then once we get home, I'm already home and sitting in the living room. She comes in and it continues again. She's not trying to talk it out or anything like that. She's yelling. You know, a little pushing, you know, I got the pizza in my hand.
Now let's go through this slowly.
No problem.
Little pushing. How did the pushing get started?
Defense pushing. Like defense pushing, you know. When she talks to you here. She don't talk to you from a distance. You know,
you're pushing her away from you.
Right, as I'm walking from the kitchen to the living room, back and forth. So finally I had the plate in my hand, and, you know, she's trying to, you know, tangle with me, and it accidentally hit her in the face.
I assume you felt very sorry when you found out she had been burned.
I drove her to the hospital the next day.
Is that right?
No. I called him when he was at work, and I said, I need to go to the hospital. He said, well, come pick me up from work, and we can go to the hospital.
Had you stayed at your mother's that night?
Yes.
Who else lives in your mother's house?
My mom, my stepbrother, and my stepfather.
They couldn't take you to the hospital?
No, I was going to go by myself, and he said, I'll go with you, because he felt bad.
Why would you want the person who assaulted you to go with you to the hospital?
He said he would go with me.
And when you got to the hospital, what happened?
They looked at it. They said it looked really bad. They referred me to a plastic surgeon.
Did he just take you to the hospital and take you back to your mother's house?
I was driving, so I took him back to his house. We went and got the prescription filled.
So first you went and got the prescription filled?
Yes.
And then you drove him back to his house? Mm-hmm. What happened when you got back to your house?
Nothing. Everything was ordinary. It was just an ordinary day, watching TV, hanging out.
The two of you?
Yeah, making plans for the weekend.
What plans were you making for the weekend, Amy?
We weren't making plans for the weekend.
What were you doing that afternoon?
We were just talking, and he was telling me how sorry he was and that he would pay my bill for me, my hospital bill.
That takes 2 seconds. How long were you there?
Probably like an hour, 2 hours, not even.
She was there all day, because I remember, because she had to put the ointment in my bathroom and she had to put it on. So she even slept over.
She did?
Right. She had to put the ointment on at my house and get salt water and pour it on the burn, things like that. And she did that all at my house.
Amy, do you have any unreimbursed medical bills?
I have my medical bill right here.
How much was the medical bill?
$377.38.
How much do you owe on it?
The full amount, I haven't paid it because he said he was going to pay it.
Well, I think he should pay it. But you're suing him for $5,000.
Pain and suffering. Every time I look at my... And I'm going to need plastic surgery. I haven't even went to the plastic surgeon and even got an amount estimated.
Well, then I can't help you with that, my dear. I can't help you with something that is speculative. What I don't understand is, if someone is frightened that someone is abusive and assaultive, they don't call them the next day to go to the hospital. They don't have them take them for the prescription when they have a sister and a mother and a stepfather and a brother and alternatives. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand that.
Good.
I was just calling him to tell him that I needed to go to the hospital, how severe it really was. That's the only reason why I called him, and he said, I'll go with you.
You don't call.
And
the only call you make is to the police. Did you do that?
No, because he has a son. I didn't want anything to happen.
Amy, he's going to pay your medical bill. You have a $377 medical bill. Your pain and suffering you're going to have to live with. I assume that you're not together anymore. Is that right?
Not at all.
Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $377. That's all.
Bodies are excused. You may step out.
Obviously, yeah, he did push me into a tree.
Oh, that's not true.
I didn't fall into a tree.
She was drunk.
I wasn't drunk. 2 beers, come on.
Slipped and fell, I guess.
You don't hurt the people that you love.
Eat pizza, don't throw it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Youngman versus Caffey. Step forward, please.
22-year-old emergency medical technician Thomas Youngman is suing his ex-girlfriend, 21-year-old bank teller Jacqueline Caffey, for the balance on a car and bank overdraft fees. Jacqueline claims Thomas paid off the car note without consulting her.
Mr. Youngman, Miss Caffey was your girlfriend for a while, and in 2003, according to your complaint, you were foolish enough to co-sign for a car loan for her.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you co-signed for the loan, it was her car. The car was titled in your name, is that right?
Yes.
And she agreed to make the payments on the car.
Yes, ma'am.
And she did make the payments on the car until when?
Until the car got totaled. There was one last payment to make after the insurance paid it off.
And how much was that one last payment?
$550.
Your complaint is that Ms. Caffrey decided not to make the last payment. You had already broken up at this point. And
Correct.
how long had you been apart?
We'd been apart for almost a year and a month.
And you knew nothing about the car because it was her car and she was making the payments.
Correct.
After she totaled the car and stopped making the payments, they came after you because you were the co-signer on the car, and they took the money out of your bank account. How much did they take out?
$550.20 cents.
Then can you explain why you're suing her for $2,000?
Because there were some late fees acquired with that, in the negative balance fees.
Okay. And how much were the negative balance fees?
$100.
Anything else?
My credit was damaged, so I figured the rest of it could be for that.
Okay. Now, Ms. Caffrey, you say you've paid enough, and he co-signed for the car, and therefore it was his responsibility. I'd like you to explain that to me.
He co-signed for it. I have the proof of it.
I know there's no question he co-signed for it.
He co-signed for a car loan, and I made every single payment. This was a $13,000 loan, and he paid $500, and late fees, $650. And he drove the car, too, when we were together.
You mean in 2003?
Yes.
So what you're saying is he drove the car in 2003, and therefore it was his responsibility to make the last payment.
I don't owe him anything. He paid.
Would you do me a favor and answer my question?
Yes.
I'll decide whether you owe him something or not. I'm trying to figure out your defense. Tell me what your defense is.
I do not owe him because he...
That's a conclusion. That's a legal conclusion, that you do not owe him. So far, we have the following set of facts stipulated. He agreed to co-sign a loan on your promise that you would make the payments on the car. That fact is buttressed by the fact that you did, in fact, make payments on the car consistently even after the two of you were no longer together. You made the payments on the car consistently, which supports his statement that you promised to make the payments until you totaled the car. Then you stopped. There was still a payment owing, $550. Now I'd like your defense as to why you do not owe that $550.
I had called the bank over and over and tried to figure out how much I owed, and by the time I figured out how much was owed, because they kept telling me
different numbers of how much was owed, and then she said, we'll just hold off on the payment and we'll get back to you on it. So when I finally got the letter in the mail that I owed $550, he had already paid it. I didn't ask him to pay it. He had already chosen himself to go ahead and pay it.
They took it out of his bank account.
That's not what, when I asked her and he told me that they froze his account, that never happened.
I want to tell you something. Mr. Youngman,
Yes, ma'am.
you're going to get your money.
Okay.
You are also a very, very fortunate man. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Really lucky.
You
could have been married to this warped thinking, allowed children to reproduce with this warped thinking. So I want you to consider yourself very lucky. Okay?
Thank you.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $650. That's
Now, it's case number 109 on the calendar in the matter of Rodriguez versus Taylor. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
Mr. Rodriguez, how do you know Miss Taylor?
She worked at the same office with my wife. She was a co-worker.
Of your wife's?
Yes.
How long had you known her before you sold her a car?
I never knew her. I just got the phone number through my wife. She told my wife she was interested in a car and I was selling one, so I gave her a call.
And what kind of car were you selling?
It's a Malibu Classic 79
And why were you selling it?
because I needed the money, because I was unemployed.
And what were you and your wife going to be driving?
Oh, I had another car. I had 2 other cars.
What other kind of cars did you have, Mr. Rodriguez?
I had another 78 Malibu and another 79 Malibu.
You like that car?
Yes, I like Malibus.
And this is what you want. You sold Miss Taylor the car for $2,000.
Yes.
And because you say you felt sorry for her because she was a single mother, you agreed to let her make payments on it. $500 down, and then she gave you another $100. So far, she's paid $600 towards the car.
Yes.
And then, according to you, she let you know she didn't want the car and she wanted her money back. You're suing her for breach of contract.
Yes.
You want her to pay the rest of what she owes on the car. And you're suing her because you say she did damage to the car.
Yes, she did.
Because you repossessed the car.
Yes,
So
I
now
did.
you have the car
Yes.
and her $600.
No.
Where's her $600?
When she gave them to me, I was unemployed, and I had to pay people back and give my wife money.
Listen to me. I don't mean that... Mr. Rodriguez, I don't mean necessarily that you still have the $600 in your possession. You didn't give it back to her. So you have the car and her $600.
No. She gave me $600 down. Then she said that she didn't want it no more.
So did you give her the $600 back?
No.
You spent it.
I spent some of the money, and I offered her $200. I said, that's all I have now. But I didn't have the car. When she called me, she still had it.
I want to know if you gave her any of her money back that she kept.
No, she wouldn't let me give her
So
anything.
then you have the car.
No, I don't have the car in my possession.
Who has the car?
I have it now because I repossessed it after.
This had to be my 9th case of the day. I don't want you to say anything, Mr. Rodriguez. I just want you to listen to me and believe what I tell you.
Okay.
You currently have her $600 and the car that you sold her.
Okay, I do.
And you're suing her for the rest of the money and because you say she did damage to the car. You got it?
Oh, I got it.
What's the Blue Book value of this car, Mr. Rodriguez?
I don't know.
Well, let's find out. 1979 Chevy Malibu. Do you think we could get that information,
Sure.
Officer Byrd? Thank you very much.
Can I say something? It all depends on how you fix the car. You can restore any car and make it look good and make it worth money. I had it nice.
Not according to her.
Okay.
Miss Taylor, on what date did you initially see this car?
On March 24th.
And you agreed to pay him $2,000 for the car? And when did you tell him that there were problems with the car?
March 25th, the next day.
What was wrong with it?
The blinkers weren't working, the speedometer, the roof was coming down, and also...
when you say the roof was coming down, what do you mean the roof
it
was
was
coming
tacked up, and I didn't realize it was tacked up.
Was it a convertible?
No.
She's talking about the upholstery.
Yeah, the upholstery was tacked up.
With what?
With thumbtacks.
This is the car that you restored? Mr. Rodriguez? Shh, shh. You tacked up the interior with thumbtacks?
No, look. The car, the interior is all red. You know, it has the... Okay, what happened was from the windows being open, it was starting to come out. So I did put some red ones in there, some little ones, the round ones. Not the long ones they use in school, in elementary. I mean, that's what she's trying to say. trying to make it seem like. I had it red ones. You couldn't even see them. And that day when she got it, she's like, what's up with this? And I told her, but just, you know, it's coming down. Just, you can fix it yourself. That's it. She never asked about blinkers, nothing.
Wait, what do you mean she didn't ask about blinkers? When you buy a car, you say your blinkers work? Is that what you're asking?
When I buy a car, I make sure I ask, hey, is there any malfunctions? Make sure the lights work, everything. The radio, whatever I need to know. You know, she didn't ask any questions. She just wanted a car.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Rodriguez?
Right now I'm unemployed, but I'm a machinist.
Take your hands off your hips. How long have you been unemployed?
For a few months.
So who supports you, your wife?
I just do side jobs or whatever I had to do.
What does that mean, you do side jobs? You say your wife works. She's a co-worker of hers, so if you don't work, then your wife supports you.
Well, she supports me.
You have children?
Yes, I do.
How many children do you have?
3.
So your wife supports you, she supports your 3 children, and she works full-time. And she takes care of the house.
No, I take care of the house.
I doubt that.
And the kids, everything.
Sure.
Can I say something?
Sure.
When I got there, I looked at the car. He had taken out the speakers. There's 2 holes in the back of the trunk. And he was inside the trunk trying to hold it up. He said he was going to fix that. And then he said that the gasket on the left side was fixed, but the right side was missing. He said he would fix it.
Miss Taylor, you're not much of a business person. What did Mr. Rodriguez say when you said, I want to return the car after one day?
He said, well, I don't have the money right now. And I was like, oh.
Because he spent it.
Yeah. He said that he owed people or he was going to put it in the bank, but then he told me that day I called him that he put it into his other car.
Into his other car? So, do we have any figure?
Nope.
Doesn't go back that far.
Don't go back that far.
Judge.
You got an 87.
What does the 87 show?
It said $0.
So it says the 87 is worth nothing.
Pretty much. Unless it's in fantastic condition.
Not kept together by thumbtacks.
Pretty much.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're buying a car that's 25 years old, and you're dumb enough to pay $2,000 for it. As far as I'm concerned, you deserve what you get.
And later today,
You should kiss the ground right where you're standing and say, I'm going to be smarter next time. The next time I wait 10 years to have a guy move in with me, I'm going to know him more than 2 weeks. And it's not going to be a recent parolee from state's prison.
damages to a '79 Chevy Malibu. Tracy is countersuing for the return of $600.
Miss Taylor, what did he say to you about getting the money back to you?
He said that he's not working right now. He already put the money into his car and give him about a week. If he couldn't come up with it in a week, he'll borrow it from a relative or family
That's what he
member.
told you. And how much after that did he come and pick up the car?
About 3 weeks later, because the end of that week I called him and he said that he barely got a job, so I'm thinking like at least a week or every 2 weeks you get paid. So I waited 2 more weeks, and then he said he lost his job or something.
But he did initially say to you when you called, he said, I don't have the money.
Yeah.
But give me some time, and I'll get it to you. And then he took the car back.
I didn't know he took the car back.
How did you find out he took the car back?
Oh, because I got home, and then I took a nap, and then I went to take my mom to work, and I looked, and it wasn't there.
Mr. Rodriguez, your lawsuit is for breach of contract. You say that she made a contract with you and she didn't fulfill her obligations under the contract. Your lawsuit against her is dismissed. It's dismissed for the following reason, because I find that you agreed to take the car back and give her back her money. Ordinarily, Ms. Taylor, I couldn't help you because you buy a used car as is. If you're buying a car that's 25 years old and you're dumb enough to pay $2,000 for it, as far as I'm concerned, you deserve what you get. However, he's a slick character. He got $600 from you for this car. He should have been walking home, clicking his heels and saying, $600, it's worth less than zero, and I got $600 for it. So he should have been happy. Now he's got you $600 and he's got his car. Put your hand down. Ordinarily, in a court, in all probability, you would get nothing. However, I believe you when you say that Mr. Rodriguez agreed to take the car back when you called him the next day and said, listen, everything is falling apart in this car. I want the $600. I believe you when you say that he told you, I can't give it all back to you because I put some in my car, because that's what an idiot would do who has 3 children and no job. They would take a piece of $600 and put it in their car and get woofers or tweeters or speakers because he's got nothing else to do with his time but play with his cars. So I believe you when he promised to return your money. And he didn't do that. So his claim is dismissed. You get nothing. Zero. Except you have your car. So you can go find somebody else who might want to buy your car, Mr. Rodriguez, because on her counterclaim, she's getting back her $600.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Because of ignorant people and they're laughing, I couldn't even give my proof.
I'm just really happy that, you know, even though I was kind of naive to the whole situation, that it's finally over with and she did believe me.
I offered her $200 a day. She didn't want it. And she told me, no, I want the full.
He didn't offer $200 a day. He offered $200 when the police were there.
The way she is, she likes to work people.
As soon as I got in the car and hit my head and something fell down, I was like, no, it's not for my baby.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McCormick versus Havens. Step forward, please.
Sherry McCormick is suing her ex-boyfriend, 25-year-old Jason Havens, for a series of unpaid loans. Sherry says she moved Jason in only weeks after his release from prison.
Miss McCormick, did you and Mr. Havens ever live together?
Yes, we did.
When?
From about October till March.
October of 2004 until March of 2005?
Yes, ma'am.
Had he been in prison before that?
Yes.
How long were you incarcerated, Mr. Havens?
4 years.
For what?
Burglary and robbery.
Is this the first time you were in jail?
Yes.
How did you meet?
At a bar.
How long had you been out of when you met Miss McCormick?
2 weeks.
Where had you been living?
I was staying with my father at the time being.
Where are you working now, Mr. Havens?
I just do side roof jobs, work under the table, doing roofing, construction.
You're not supposed to say in front of 10 million people, sir, including the IRS, that you're being paid under the table. I'm just suggesting that to you. I didn't ask you that question, whether you were paid under the table. So you don't necessarily, be smart, you don't necessarily have to volunteer that information. Do you understand? How much after you met him did he move in with you, Miss McCormick?
It was a few weeks. We had a first date a week later, and then it was a few weeks after that he moved in.
And you live with your daughter?
Yes.
NS. You know what NS means? Not smart.
I know. I know.
Really not smart. Because I assume that since Mr. Havens is so honest with me, he told you that he had been released from prison 2 weeks before? That he had been in prison for burglary and robbery?
Well, that wasn't the story that I heard in the beginning.
He wasn't in prison for working under the table?
No, he wasn't.
Okay, and you don't get 4 years for a first-time offense?
I don't know the court system that well, but...
All right, but you do watch television.
Yes.
That's what educates most people. Didn't educate you enough because you allowed him to move into your house with your daughter. Is this your daughter?
Yes, it is.
Miss McCormick. It's your claim that you made a series of loans to Mr. Havens.
Yes.
During the time that he was living there with you. Mr. Havens says, yes, you did give him money. He was getting back on his feet, and you were more than happy to help him to do that.
That wasn't the case. They were loans.
Let me hear about them, Miss McCormick. I'm going to have to make a judgment about that.
I believe the first one was he came home one night and he had a fat lip. He had been in a gambling game and lost $250. And I had heard some of the voice messages from these people who were after him. And I didn't want to see anything happen to him, so he asked to borrow the money. I, as a matter of fact, had to borrow $100 of it from my grandmother to give him.
When was this?
That was in October, early November.
Keep going.
During the period of time, he would come to me and ask me for $20 here, $10 there, ask me for money to go see his daughter, to do things with his daughter, and at one time he ended up at a party with his cousin with the money that I had loaned him to do something with his daughter.
And when was that?
Probably in November.
November. All righty. So let's see what we got. We've got someone that you met in a bar that moved in with you 2 weeks later who had been released from prison after serving 4 years. During that same month, he comes home after a gambling debt leaves him bloodied, according to you. You have people calling and leaving voice messages, and those people are saying that they're going to cut him off at the knees unless he gives them this $250, whatever.
Yeah.
So you borrow money from your grandmother to get him out of that fix, and then you continue to live with him. When you start giving him more money, 20 here, 10 there, and then some money to go and visit his daughter, and you find out that he ended up at a party with a friend and didn't use the money for the visit with his daughter. That's in November. Let's go to the next one.
I had gone to Florida, and he house sat for me. he asked for money while I was in Florida, and I left him money. And while I was in Florida, he ran out of money, so I had called my dad's girlfriend, and she took him over another $20. You know, all this was in promise that when he got his money from his loan from school that he would pay me back.
Is that right?
No, it's not right.
Nah. Don't believe a word of that, Miss McCormick. You've got to start using your brains. How many men have you had living in your house with your daughter in the last 10 years?
Only one.
Only him?
Yes.
You were certainly holding out, and you waited for some, and you got some bargain.
I'm not
you got
saying I
yourself
didn't make a big mistake.
the real pick of the litter. You bought a car from her, is that right?
Yes.
Did you give her any money down?
I gave her an $800 down payment and agreed to pay the rest of the $2,000 monthly.
She took the car back.
Yeah, before the first payment.
Did he give you $800 towards the car?
No, he did not.
How much did he give you?
He didn't give me anything.
She's not going to admit to it. I gave her $800. I gave her 50s and 100s because I got it out of my school loan check. That was the whole point of me getting a loan, was so I could get a car. And she was the perfect opportunity for me to get a car, so I got it from her.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Sure.
He made it a point to have his father mail me a check so he would have a receipt for the first payment. And if he gave me $800 supposedly, I would think he would have wanted a receipt for it also.
That was before I moved out, before she went crazy and tried to go to my friends' houses and try to find me everywhere every night.
Which I did not do.
He doesn't have a counterclaim for this $800. He just says, listen, I bought a car from her, I gave her some cash. She repossessed the car because I didn't finish paying, because I didn't pay for it. She just didn't want me to have it anymore. She repossessed the car. So he doesn't have a counterclaim. I don't have to even believe that he gave you $800. All I have to believe is, from your perspective, is whether or not you advanced him this money with an expectation of being repaid. I don't believe any sane person who's 43 years old, who has a teenage daughter, who runs a house, first gives him $250, then without getting a penny back, gives him more money a couple of weeks later, and then a couple of months later, without getting any more money back, gives him more money and has a legitimate expectation of being repaid. I don't believe that you had a legitimate expectation of being repaid.
I did, Your
I think
Honor.
you made a big mistake, and the big mistake was letting him move in. The big mistake was not the few $100 that you gave him over the course of the months that he was living there. And you should kiss the ground right where you're standing that he left your house, and left your house intact, and left you intact, and left your daughter intact. And say, I'm going to be smarter next time. The next time I wait 10 years to have a guy move in with me, I'm going to know him more than 2 weeks. And it's not going to be a recent parolee from state's prison. Your lawsuit is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step up. This is case number 475 on the calendar in the matter of Martin versus Hall. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. Martin, it is your claim that the defendants, this gentleman in particular, caused damage to your car in an accident, and the accident was his fault. Mr. Hall says that it was your fault, and you don't know why, anyway, that you're suing him because he wasn't driving. It was Miss
Hall
who was driving the car. So you must have not been watching carefully.
Apparently.
When did this incident happen?
September 17th.
Where were you?
I was in Maitland, Florida, turning into a gas station.
What happened, Mr. Martin?
I was turning into the gas station to buy gas, and I seen the Halls coming at a very high rate of speed through the parking lot, so I stopped.
Through the parking lot or through the gas station?
Into the parking lot of the gas station.
There's a chart over there that the Halls brought. Is the red car yours?
That's similar to what happened.
Where were you coming from?
I was coming from the north, turning in just like that shows, and I stopped, and he come crashing into me. He was driving probably about 45 miles an hour through that parking lot.
Okay. What kind of a car were you driving, sir?
Mazda 626.
And where was the car hit?
Right in the passenger side in the front. Knocked the bumper
Do you have a
completely off.
photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it, please?
Sure.
Is there damage to the hood?
The bumper was knocked completely off, and the hood and all the lights were knocked out in the grill.
All right, now what happened after the collision, sir?
After the collision, I started to call the police, and Mr. Hall came over and said, "I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Please don't call the police. I'll have someone take care of your car for you." But my car was not drivable. So I proceeded with calling the police, and then I observed Mr. Hall removing the license plate from the car.
From whose car?
From his car. So when the police got there, I told him that he had taken the license plate off of the car and put it in the trunk. He went and found it, and then they claimed that Mrs. Hall was driving, but that is definitely not the case. So the police officer ticketed him for removing the tag from the car because that tag did not belong to their car, and then ticketed her for driving with no insurance and for careless and reckless driving.
On their statement that it was Mrs. Hall who was driving.
That's what they're claiming, yes.
But it wasn't Mrs. Hall who was driving.
No, ma'am.
It was Mr. Hall.
Mr. Hall was driving. And on page 2 is the correct diagram. It's very similar to that, but it shows my car in a straight line, not in an angle like that.
Why did you take the plate off the car, Mr. Hall?
Because the plate did not belong to that car, Your Honor.
Why not?
Because we put it on the car to transport the car to a sale lot to put the car up for sale.
Well, where were you coming from, Mr. Hall?
We were going from our residence to the gas station. We were putting gas into the vehicle and then taking the vehicle up to put it up for sale.
Where were you taking it to put it up for sale?
Literally 2 blocks away from there, which is also just a couple blocks away from our residence, Your Honor.
Well, Mr. Hall, that doesn't make sense, sir. It doesn't make sense that why you would be putting gas in a car to take it to a place for 2 blocks.
Because it was on dead E, and we're afraid the vehicle would run out if someone was to test drive it, Your Honor.
Huh. When did you buy this car, sir?
A few weeks before that, Your Honor.
From whom?
I
You're
don't
looking
remember.
down at your feet, sir.
I don't remember the gentleman's name, Your Honor.
Did you have a bill of sale for it?
No, ma'am, not on me.
Did you have it then?
No, ma'am, I did not.
You're pretty slippery, sir. Show me where your car was hit, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is your car?
The blue car, Your Honor, is our car.
Right. I got it.
And our car was hit
Now.
right where the highlight spot is.
I see it. But you passed the gas tank, sir. Did you put gas in the car already?
Yes, ma'am.
Who put the gas in the car?
I believe I did. And I ran
I want
inside.
you to think. I want you to think. Who put the gas in the car?
I put in the gas, Your Honor.
Do you have a license to drive a car?
I do, yes, ma'am.
Did you then?
It was suspended, Your Honor.
So the answer is you did not have a license to drive then.
No, ma'am.
So you had no license, no registration, no insurance.
Yes, ma'am.
So there would have been a good reason for you to lie to the police and tell them that your wife was driving when you were driving. There would have been a reason and a motive because you would have been taken in
There would
if you
have
were
been.
driving on a suspended license. Isn't that correct, sir?
Yes, there's also a reason why I let her drive, because she is legal and not suspended.
Listen to me very carefully, sir. On your best day, you're not as smart as I am on my dumbest day.
I understand, Your Honor.
Good. My question to you was, there was a reason for you to lie to the police, to tell them that your wife was driving the car. There would have been a reason because you had already had your license suspended, right?
Yes, ma'am.
For what?
For not paying a seatbelt ticket, Your Honor.
Baloney. Now, where did you get the license plate from, sir, that you put on this car?
From one of our other vehicles.
How many other vehicles do you have?
2, Your Honor.
Who insures them?
My wife and I do.
With what company?
Progressive, I'm sorry.
And were the other 2 vehicles insured at the time of this accident with Progressive?
Yes, ma'am. May
Why
not have been,
was... What?
Excuse me, Your Honor. May not have been with Progressive. Progressive is our current one, I believe.
Well, why don't you tell me, sir, because it's very easy to check. Why don't you tell me, what was the other company that you were with back in September that insured your other 2 cars?
I don't recall the insurance company off the top of my name, Your Honor.
Off the top of your name, you don't...
Off the top of my head, I'm sorry.
You don't.
I'm nervous.
You're nervous because you're lying, sir. And you know that I'm going to be able to prove that. Before the police arrived, when you took the plate off the car and put it in the trunk, what did you hope to accomplish by that, sir?
Avoiding the ticket for attaching tag not assigned, Your Honor.
Now, don't you get a ticket for driving without tags, period?
Yes, Your Honor.
So what would be the difference in putting the tags in the trunk? You were going to get a ticket either way, either for driving with no tags or for driving with somebody else's tags on your car. So what difference did it make?
None. Except to try keep him from getting a ticket.
Well, don't you think people get tickets, sir, when they drive without license plates?
Yes, Your Honor.
Because that's why you supposedly took the license plate off one car and put it on another, so you wouldn't get a ticket,
Yes,
right?
Your Honor.
So that doesn't make sense to me. What did the police do with that license plate, sir?
They confiscated it, Your Honor.
And what did you do with the car from where the license plate had been removed?
The vehicle stayed right where it was, Your Honor.
And where is it to this day, sir?
In our driveway, Your Honor.
Without license plates?
It has been licensed and insured.
How did you get new license plates for it?
I just applied for a new plate, Your Honor.
You have to say what happened to the old plate, sir, if the car had been registered.
The vehicle hadn't been registered in our name prior to that, Your Honor.
Oh, so you had yet another car in your arsenal of cars that hadn't been registered in your name at the same date that you had this accident.
It's a vehicle that my sister allowed for us to drive because we didn't have a dependable vehicle at the time to drive, Your
Well,
Honor.
what about the third car that you had home, sir?
It wasn't.
Vehicle.
What?
It's a work vehicle.
What is a work vehicle? What does that mean?
It's a truck that we use to do landscaping and lawn maintenance that
So?
pulls a trailer. And it's decaled up, and insurance will not cover that if we are in an accident when we are not working.
Okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to play. At the time of this accident on the 17th of September, 2004, who had a driver's license? Raise your hand. At the time of this accident on September 17th, 2004, who had a registered vehicle? On September 17th, 2004, who had a vehicle with appropriate tags on it? On September 17th, 2004, who was driving a car illegally? Good! Perfect. Okay. Shooting fish in a barrel. Can I see the estimate for your car, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
What a bunch of hustlers. Not you, Mr. Martin.
I also have, Your Honor, a letter from the Halls stating that Mrs. Hall is guilty of this charge because we originally had an agreement for the Halls to pay me $400 a month beginning on November the 10th. And I know you're not going to believe this, but that didn't happen.
The only thing that I don't believe, sir, is that you believed them, that it was going to happen.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
When we separated, we were not on talking terms. I needed money.
So you claimed the children as your deduction, even though he supported them?
Yes, ma'am.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rick Martin says fellow motorists Jennifer and Dennis Hall ran into him in a gas station parking lot. Rick claims Dennis was the driver, but after the accident, he switched places with his wife.
I have a net total of $2,966.35. Is that your estimate?
That's the estimate to fix the rest of the damage. I've already spent over $2,000.
You have those bills?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see them, please.
In those estimates, Your Honor, he's also trying to recoup, he's trying to double charge for repairs that he made once originally on his first repair bill.
And I have a listing of those if you'd like to see
And
it.
then he's trying to get the same repairs covered again on his estimate he previously handed
Are you trying to do that, sir?
No, ma'am.
Did you have a deductible on the car?
I had only liability. I did not have full coverage on the car because it's paid for.
Okay, what did Allstate pay you?
Allstate only paid the tow bills. And I tried to relay that message to the Halls, but they would not return any of my calls to find that out. So.
They wanted you to go away, like their license plates.
Yes.
Your Honor, he when he originally showed up at our doorstep, he was demanding the $14.95 and repayment as well as new headlights.
So how much? Just a second. So how much did you give him, Mr. Hall?
I gave him $0.
Yeah, now you're going to give him $4,834. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The first thing I thought was they were going to drive away.
We like to buy and sell vehicles, and my husband was in the back seat.
I didn't ask him what he was doing. I took a photograph of the license plate. I could still tell you the number of that license plate right now.
When the gentleman hit us, my husband bounded out of the back seat, driver's side, and of course everybody thought he was getting out of the driver's seat.
I think that they're professional con men or deadbeats. I don't know.
When Jennifer asked to see some type of receipts or anything, he didn't provide any. Instead, he just went and got additional estimates and came up with this claim with that.
When I went to his house, he told me that I was not the first person that he ran into. That would be why he doesn't have a driver's license.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Conger versus Tates, step forward, please.
Plaintiffs Chuck and Karen Conger are suing the father of their grandchild, roofer Jeremiah Tates, for the cost to fix a '97 Ford Escort. The Congers claim Jeremiah's driving caused the transmission to blow.
Mrs. Conger, you have a daughter whose name is Brenda.
Correct.
Let me guess, Brenda.
Yes.
Your stepdaughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is a convoluted story of a car, a 1997 car, that was purchased for your daughter and the defendant, her then boyfriend and father of the two children. And the arrangement was that the two of them would pay you back for the car. Well, then they had an off-again, on-again kind of arrangement. And at some point, Mr. Tates took the car with your daughter's permission because she got a new car. And he was driving the car and making the payments.
Yep.
And then the engine blew on the car, and he had the car towed to your house, and he said, I'm not making payments on it anymore. So you want him to pay for the repairs that you did to the car in order to get it up and running because you still have the car.
Correct.
That's really what the lawsuit is about. You want him to pay for the repairs. And Mr. Tate says, I only drove the car for a couple of months. Brenda has always driven that car, right?
Correct.
So why are you looking to me to pay for the repairs? So, the car was purchased when?
Go ahead.
I'm not
All
sure
right.
when Brenda purchased the car.
Brenda, step up. When did you buy the car, Brenda?
The car was purchased, I want to say, in 2001.
Okay. And it was purchased in your name?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still in your name?
No, ma'am.
Whose name is it in?
It is now in my mother and stepfather's name.
And who drove the car in 2001?
I did all the driving. Jeremiah did not have his license.
Okay. You did the driving in 2001. Who did the driving of this particular car in 2002?
I did.
Who did the driving of this car in 2003?
I did half of it, and then Jeremiah took over.
Okay. Now, when did Jeremiah take over the car?
October to May.
To May of 04.
May of 2004. How did he come to have possession of the car?
We were trying to work on things, and we just couldn't do it. So when I left, I also had another automobile. Jeremiah had his...
Just a second. When you left, what do you mean you had another automobile?
Oh, I'm sorry. When Jeremiah and I separated, I took my income taxes and I purchased a SUV. So for him to have transportation for his work, he also goes to a school and he has children. We just talked about it, and he was going to take that so he would have transportation for those needs.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. But the Explorer she had was paid off with the taxes she got back from our two kids, claiming our two kids. So, I mean...
Did you support them?
Yes, I did.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you claim them both that year?
He was the sole supporter of the family. I did not work. I went to school and I took care of the children. And when we separated, we were not on talking terms. I needed money. I needed to take care of my children and get a roof over our head.
So you claimed the children as your deduction?
Yes, ma'am.
Even though he supported them?
Yes, because when he claims taxes, he is paying the IRS right now, so he would not have received anything. I tried talking to him about it, but at that time we were not.
What do you mean he's paying the IRS?
He has back taxes. He used to own his own business, so he's doing
Okay,
stuff
so
like
you
that.
wouldn't have gotten the money anyway, but
No.
at least she got the advantage of it. Is that what
Yeah.
you're telling me?
Yep, basically, Your Honor.
Okay, and how much of an advantage did you get?
Not much. I think my return was only $3,100.
$3,100.
Yes,
And you
ma'am.
got $3,100, and you actually did not support the children. He did that year.
Yes.
Fine. Who's driving the car now?
My daughter is.
Which daughter?
I have a daughter. She's 16 years old. Her name is Brianna, and she's making payments on the car because we still owe money on the car.
Great. How much do you still owe?
A couple $1,000s.
I don't think he's responsible to fix the car.
We have 6 months of where he's made payments on this car faithfully.
That's absolutely right. He made payments 6 months faithfully. The car was not in his name. It's in your name. You chose to take the car, and instead of fixing it and selling it, you chose to give it to your daughter. That's what you chose to do.
We just thought that he's the one that was driving it at the time, so we thought that he should be held responsible for...
No, not necessarily.
debt.
The engine could have blown when your daughter was driving the car. She drove the car for 3 years. Cut your losses.
Well, he made payments on this car with faith, and if he would have taken out a loan, he would have had this car then.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
May I?
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. You also could have fixed the car and sold it.
I understand your view on I was the one driving, but I was the only one with the legal license.
What?
Well, if he would have had a license, his driving would have been just as much. So the problem, okay.
Madam, you want to also explain the $3,100 that should have actually gone to the federal government and went to your pocket instead?
I also worked.
Oh, that's a lot of baloney.
No,
you said to me a moment ago that he was the sole support of the children the year that you claimed the children on your tax returns, and you did it because you knew that if he claimed the children. He would not be getting a refund because he owed for back taxes. So you claimed the refund. You needed money to buy a new car, but you took $3,100. You bought a new car. You gave him that one. Good. Leave him alone. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Appropriately dressed. Do we understand each other?
Sorry, Your Honor.
You're not going to a beach party today. Today you come to court. When you come to court, you come appropriately dressed. We understand each other?
Definitely.
Good. Now, Mr. Clausen, you and the defendant have a child together.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it is your complaint that when you separated some time ago, you left your television set and entertainment center with Miss Herem.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you want those items back.
Yes, that would
because
be
you
great.
say you paid for them, and you're still paying for them.
Yes.
Ms. Herem says you left her not only with the child, but with a whole stack of bills, and she paid as many payments as you did on that television set and entertainment center. They don't belong to you. They belong to her. When did the two of you separate, sir?
We separated in January of '04.
And when was the television purchased?
In September of '03
And the entertainment center?
as well, at the same time. And the TV stand as well.
You moved out of the house, sir, in January of 2004?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you left the television set and entertainment center there?
Yes, I took everything else that I could, but I did not have a truck to take that.
Well, between January 2004 and June of 2005, I assume that you could have gotten a truck.
Yes, Your Honor.
But you didn't.
I did. I called the police. She wouldn't let me get it. I called the police and they said...
First time that you asked for it was what date?
A couple days after that, I was like, hey, can I get it back? She said, no. Too bad.
Okay, fine. When did you first file a claim against her in small claims court, which you did in order to initiate this case for the return of your TV and entertainment center?
I have it right here when I went.
What's the date?
The date is 3/15 of '05.
So I'm going to ask you, where were you for 14 months?
Yeah, I'm trying to become a firefighter, and I was going to school 4 or 5 days a week, and I just didn't have any time for that at all. And taking
Well,
care
what
of
are
my
you doing now?
Now I took some time off because we went through a bunch of custody hearings for our child.
One custody hearing.
Shh,
Mediation, meeting lawyers, and everything else.
Just a second. So you took time off for that?
Yes.
And when was the custody case ultimately decided?
3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago.
Give me the date.
May 18th.
Yes, Your Honor.
And at what stage of the proceedings were the custody and visitation and support case in at the time that you filed the small claims court case?
I filed right after that.
Right after what?
After we went to mediation, I filed for small claims court on...
Well, what happened at mediation?
I tried taking it through mediation. She wouldn't have anything to do with it. Her mother said that she would pay me $1,500 for it, but she...
What are you talking about?
May I say something?
Yes.
In mediation, he took my daughter from a family member's house, which happens to be my cousin's mother. He wouldn't let me see my daughter, so I went down and I filed custody papers. They granted me full temporary custody.
When was that?
In March.
In March, and it was right after that that he filed the small claims court case.
That is correct, and it was the day that he was ordered to pay me child support that he served me the papers for the small claims
Tell
court.
him why.
Excuse me?
I was going to have him tell her. Excuse me, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
I didn't ask you anything. Now, on what date did you take your daughter from this lady's house?
I'm not sure of the date, Your Honor.
Well, if you're not sure of the date, she is. What was the date?
March 15th.
Yes, madam. You want to get up and say something?
Yes, I do.
You're exploding.
Yes, it was March 23rd.
What was March 23rd?
That the baby was removed from the cousin's house because we had a phone call.
She was
Shh,
don't speak.
We had a phone call from a bounty hunter looking for Tiffany. And the bounty hunter stated that he needed to get hold of her and that the guy that they're looking for was a drug dealer. So her family told Justin to go get Kea. And that's why Justin went and got Kea.
Her father and her...
Just a second. There was a hearing, ultimately.
Yes,
Is that
Your Honor.
right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And at the hearing, who was awarded custody?
She was. I did not have any paternity tests.
Have you had one now?
No, the court did not order me one. They
Why
said...
not?
I have no idea. They just said that, okay, well, are you willing to take care of this baby if it is or not yours? I said yes. So therefore, no paternity test still, but I am...
Did you ask for a paternity test?
Yes, Your Honor. And they didn't really do anything about it.
He actually filled out the paperwork and everything.
In
They
the
were
courts?
served to me in court when we had our custody hearing.
Oh, fine. Very good. So right now there has been no legal adjudication of paternity. Is that right? Because you haven't had the paternity test.
Exactly.
Your Honor, they made him sign a paper that said that that he didn't have to take a paternity test. That basically, when we went to court on May 18th, they were granting him he was the father without the paternity test.
Is that what they did?
Yes.
That was very stupid on your part. Mr. Clausen, I'd always take a paternity test, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
You never can tell.
But that little girl is my whole life. I love her more than anything in the world.
Great. Listen to me. Did you live together?
Yes, Your Honor, we did.
For how long?
4 years?
2 years.
Was it 2
Huh?
years?
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years at our other house in 6 months, so 3, 2.5, almost 3. We were together for a while.
Is this your son? If you can have a paternity test, if you were my son, I would say have one. Giving you my good advice. That's the last thing of good advice you're going to get from me. You left the television in the entertainment center with her for 14 months, sir.
I did, and I kick myself in the butt for it every day.
But you had an agreement.
But the other thing was that if she was to move out, I would be able to get it back. And she says, well, it comes in a package. If you take me back, then I get her and the TV back.
And?
And I don't want that deal.
Why not, sir?
Because he'd rather have a 17-year-old girlfriend.
Shh. Don't interrupt again.
Sorry.
I let you slide with the outfit, not with the conduct. Go ahead.
Because, Your Honor, it's just how I've caught her at some guy's house, and it's just wrong, and I don't want to have that lifestyle.
Well, very good. You see why I suggested you get a paternity test, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You went and bought clothes on his Sears account for yourself?
I did buy things for the baby.
You didn't. According to you, you bought cami things for you. Cami in white, cami in pink. Maybe this
shirt to be exact.
And later today,
Miss Bass, you got to understand something. You may waltz around me, but ultimately, I'm going to get to the truth.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Justin Clausen says the mother of his daughter, Tiffany Harem, owes for the return of property and credit card charges made without his permission.
Now, you get a paternity test, sir. What you don't get is a television and an entertainment center that you left there for 14 months. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Madam, you could sit down.
Thank you.
Get over the television and get over the entertainment center. After 14 months, they're abandoned property. You left them there. I assume that your daughter is watching the television set? The one that you
No,
left?
it's in storage. It's sitting in storage.
Is that sitting in storage?
No, it's not, Your Honor.
Where is it?
It's in my house. In my bedroom, to be exact.
If you would like to call her father would say that it's in the storage. It's underneath his name.
I'm not calling her father. I'm telling you, get over it. Thus far, the order was that she has custody and you have visitation and everything is nice, even though custody didn't end up the way you wanted it to end up, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
That doesn't mean that you try to exacerbate an otherwise relatively calm situation by filing a small claims court 14 months after the fact for a television set.
Well, that was
It's
not
stupid.
That was not the only thing, though. She went to Sears and purchased some stuff on my credit card.
Oh, I'd like to
as
see
well.
that.
Here's the receipt.
You went and bought clothes on his Sears account for yourself?
It's in my name as well, Your Honor.
I don't care if it's on your name. Did you discuss it with him first?
No, it's my credit card, too.
Your Honor,
It's
Who's
both
paying the bill?
We both paid the bill.
No, no, no.
Excuse me, Your Honor. I paid the bill before he moved out for over 2 years.
I'm talking about now. This sales
and I offered
check
to pay him.
is dated March 11th, 2005. Well, why all of a sudden did you start using this credit card?
I went one time and...
Well, you have to pay for it.
Because I feel that I have paid my fair share of all of his credit cards, and I have them here.
Listen to me very carefully, madam. I have no counterclaim. All I have is somebody who, after a year and a half, went in and used a credit card just to give him one of these zingers, knowing that you weren't going to pay the bill and he was going to get stuck with it. And I would feel a little bit more compassionate towards you if you bought things for the baby. But you didn't.
I did buy things for the baby,
You
Your Honor.
didn't. According to you, you bought cami things for you. Cami in white, cami in pink. Maybe this
Shirt,
one.
to be exact.
That you get paid for. So a judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $204.81. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's a good dad. He was there all through my pregnancy, and, you know, and still is for her.
I will continue being a great father.
We were very young. We've been together for a long time, 6 years.
For her, she'll probably keep being a good mother.
We had a lot of growing to do. We're different people now than we were, but definitely still both good people.
And now the next case. Friend's half-brother, 26-year-old Timothy Harpster, for stealing her car. Timothy says the car was in his name.
All right, Miss Bass. This gentleman was your boyfriend's brother. Still your boyfriend?
Yes.
This is the boyfriend?
Yes.
Were you all living together?
Yes.
And according to your complaint, you had a car.
Mm-hmm.
Your insurance was very expensive.
Correct.
Why was your insurance so expensive?
Because I was only 20, so my insurance was really high. And my policy was about to expire, so Tim had given the offer to put it in his name.
Okay. It's your car, and you're going to be driving it.
Primarily, yes.
And in order to get cheaper insurance, you signed the car over to him.
Not only that, we were all living together, and Tim's car was about to get taken because he didn't pay on it, so I was driving his and he was driving mine. And we would all be driving each other's cars, and so he had to put it in his name.
So then it was really all of your car. Everybody paid their fair share of gas and maintenance on it and everything
No, I
else?
paid the maintenance.
Everybody paid gas for the car?
Well, what we drove, we put in gas and stuff, and I...
You're not, Miss Bass, you got to understand something. You may waltz around me, but ultimately, I'm going to get to the truth.
Okay.
You understand?
Sure.
What you did was defraud the insurance company. That was your intent.
No.
Your intent was, oh yes, your intent was that it was really your car, because that's why you're here. That's why you're here. It was really your car. You put it in his name for insurance purposes, because if he took out the insurance, it would be cheaper. And then, when you all had a falling out, he took the car, and you want your car back. That's what the case is about. So it wasn't all of your cars, it was your car. That's what you're suing for, right?
Right.
Ah, okay. So what you really did was, when you put the car in his name, which he acknowledges, and he acknowledges that it was put in your name for insurance purposes, right?
Yes.
You didn't pay her anything for the car, did you?
No.
She didn't make you a present of the car, did she?
No.
It was put in your name for one reason only, to defraud the insurance company, right?
Yes.
Now, when did you stop living together?
In February.
Who moved out?
I did.
What'd you do with the car?
Well, it sat at the house. I moved out on the 1st of February, and shortly after that, Justine, my brother, I guess, moved out of the house.
When?
As of, I think it was March, around March 1st.
When did you move out?
We moved out on March 1st.
And?
I actually had some problems with Justine and my brother trying to get some of the things, my belongings, back out of the house. Finally, I did get to pick up the motorcycle that was left in the garage.
I don't care about your things. That's not for me,
Right.
sir. What happened to the car?
Like I said, we had gotten into some arguments and things. I didn't take the car until almost the end of March. The car was left at the house.
In the old house?
Yeah, they actually moved out and didn't take the car with them.
Is that right?
And it sat
We
there.
couldn't. The title was not in my name, and it would be considered stolen, and the cops would have been called, and I would have got in trouble.
So you left the car there?
Had to.
So you left the car there?
Yes.
After you moved out on March 1st, when did you contact him?
For what?
For your car back.
I had tried calling him, and he wouldn't answer the phone. Tom had tried calling him, and he wouldn't speak to us. And so...
You wanted some stuff from the house.
He already got it.
What'd you do with the car, Mr. Harpster?
I sold it, actually.
To whom?
A friend of mine.
Show me. Show me proof that you sold it.
I don't even have proof, but I did, though.
When did you sell it?
3 weeks ago. Actually, I didn't even have a problem with giving them back the title for their car. I didn't want their car. I could care less about that car, but when I asked them for the rest of the things back, such as the key for the motorcycle that was left in the garage, they started a big problem. So
you sold the car?
No, not necessarily.
How much did you get for it?
$900.
What year car was it?
92 Acura.
How many miles did it have on it?
117,000.
Can I get the blue book on a 1992 Acura? Bird, it's a hatchback.
Yes.
Let's put it in fair condition, please.
What kind of car is it?
Integra GSR.
It wasn't a GSR. It was a GS.
GS.
Fair condition, 1625.
Can I take a look? That's the G. You have to teach me how to do this thing.
She has an Integra. There's the Integra list. 92, Acura.
Right, a GS.
Right, and then the GS. And then she has a GS hatchback. So 1625 on fair condition.
Your Honor.
What is it, sir?
As Tim's saying, that car is a GS. The GSR was it was a special edition. It was a only came in the hatchback. The car was a hatchback. If he had the title.
Only a difference of $100, sir. Listen, you have to consider yourself very, very lucky that I'm even considering any part of your claim, because usually when people come into a court with not clean hands, I throw them out.
I understand what you were saying as far as the defrauding insurance company, but the fact is that Tim was primarily driving that car. His car was often parked.
Let me explain something to you. You want me to read you what your girlfriend said in her complaint?
Oh, I've read it.
You want me to read
myself.
you? Okay. The insurance policy on my car was about to expire, and Tim said he could put it on his policy so that I could get a cheaper rate. That's why she says that you put the car in his name, to get a cheaper rate. That's fraud on the insurance company, sir. Any way you slice it. You're very, very fortunate that I'm considering any part of your claim. Certainly not worth $2,800. I don't believe that you got $900 for it. I'm not even sure that it's still not sitting in your driveway someplace.
No, it isn't. I did sell it.
And you sold it because you were angry over your property.
No, actually, I sold it because I asked them, I would have gave them the car back. Yes, I was upset about my property.
So why don't you just say yes?
Yes, I was upset
Instead
about
of
that.
excuses. So you were angry that they wouldn't give you the key to your motorcycle and the other things that
Your
you
Honor,
want. You said,
may
I'm
I?
speaking. So you said, car's in my name, and this, according to your answer, you said I could do whatever I want with it.
Plus,
That's what
also,
you
it
said.
was left there, yes.
That's what you said. Car's in my name, I can do whatever I want with it. Right?
Yes.
Your Honor, we did leave the car there, but what were we supposed to do? Remove
You
the
were
car?
supposed to do exactly what you did now, sir, which is immediately go to small claims court there and have a case that was heard sometime the beginning of March. That's what you're supposed to do.
Well, I was also speaking to other family members of mine. My brother Jim, who is an older brother than both of us, he was also speaking to Tim because we are family and we didn't want to have to resort to this, you know.
But ultimately you did.
Had to.
That's we had taken
Right.
everything else we could. And
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,700. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties out of Shaw versus Wallace. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Shaw, it is your claim that the defendant defrauded you to the tune of many thousands of dollars because she told you that you were the biological father of her child, and for a substantial period of time you paid her child support, and then at some point you decided to verify that claim. You had a paternity test done, and it turns out that you are not the child's biological father, and you want the support payments back.
Correct.
When did you begin dating Miss Wallace?
I met Miss Wallace approximately May of '99.
And how long did you date her?
5 to 6 months. About the third or fourth month, she told me that she missed her cycle and that she was pregnant with my child.
What did you say to her?
I was a little, surprised, but I knew that, we'd had sex, unprotected sex, and I knew it was possible.
Why did you do that? I'm going to ask her the same question.
That's something that I do occasionally.
How many children do you have?
I have 3 children, 3 girls.
How old are they?
They are 26, my daughter here. I have a 19-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Quite a lapse there between judgments.
Yes, that's why I was kind of excited about, I wasn't disappointed about the fact that she was pregnant because it had been like 15, 16 years since I had a child, so I wasn't totally against the idea.
Oh, how old is your child?
My child is 2 also.
2 also?
Yes.
So you were having sex with several women at the same time?
No, Your Honor, that's not the way it occurred.
How many?
I was only having sex with her at the time.
Well, you have another child who's 2.
Well, there's about 6, 7 months difference in ages. The way it happened was Trina and I started having problems shortly after she became pregnant. And approximately when she was 2 to 3 months pregnant, I knew that there wasn't going to be a relationship between the 2 of us. So I told her, I said, look, this is not going to work between us. I'm basically moving on. The only thing I can do at this point is help you support my child. And I moved on to a new relationship.
Didn't you ever question the fact that maybe this wasn't your child?
A little.
What do you
not
mean
much.
a little?
I kind of jokingly said to her, was she sure that, that I was the father?
Do you have other children?
Yes.
How many children?
A 19-year-old and my 2-year-old.
Go ahead.
She got very upset when I questioned her and almost belligerent. And so I kind of backed off the notion that, you know, she was telling the truth, that it was my child. So,
had you ever been to court at any other time, Mr. Shaw, with regard to issues of paternity, custody, visitation with any of your other children?
yes, once.
So you know how to get to court?
Yes.
At what point, sir, did you decide to question the paternity of this child?
Well, several months after Malik was born, seemingly Katrina would interfere with the two of us trying to bond. She didn't support me as a father. She didn't support us spending time together. I would try to take him out of town with me like I would do with my younger child, and she would tell him, no, he can't go. Or I would try to keep him for several days, and most of the time she would say no. On one instance, approximately 6 to 8 months ago.
So why didn't you go to court, Mr. Shaw?
Well, it wasn't that she wouldn't let me see him at all. It's the fact that she wouldn't, if I asked for permission to take him out of town.
You're not supposed to ask her for permission. If you want to spend quality time with the child, then you go to court. Was there some other reason why you didn't want to take this matter through the courts? Did it have to do with money?
I don't think so, no.
You have a business?
Yes, I do.
What kind of business do you have?
I own several barbershops in the Atlanta area.
And how much support were you giving Miss Wallace?
I started off at $300 a month, and mind you that I had 2 other children that I was paying the same amount of support to, and I raised it at approximately $50 every 6 to 8 months or so, equally.
So how much money did you give her in total?
In total, I gave her approximately $9,000.
Is that about right?
Yes, that's about right.
Oh. According to you, you took the child for a paternity test. Do you have those test results?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see them. Tell me about what happened when you took Malik for a blood test. Tell me about it.
I began to have little suspicions, but basically I just thought it was just me. But I was having doubts for a good period of time.
Tell me about the procedure that you used, sir. You took him on a period of visitation. You took him to a laboratory. Tell me about that. I want to know the procedure that you used.
Well, one day I asked if I could pick him up and spend some time with him. I went over, picked him up, and took him straight to the lab, and we did a paternity test, and I returned.
Which lab?
Any lab.
What?
Any lab. That's the name of the lab. It's located in Atlanta. It was the only place that I could find where I could actually do a paternity test and get the results back within a reasonable amount of time.
What was the reasonable amount of time?
This took approximately 3 weeks.
Ms. Wallace, is it possible that Mr. Shaw is not Malik's father?
Yes.
So you were, in fact, having sexual relations with more than one person at the time that Malik was conceived. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. There was someone else, and I did use protection.
Are you confident that Mr. Shaw is Malik's father?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
I turned around, boom, that's when the assault began. Everything went flying.
He comes with a flurry of punches. It's gonna get worse, you know. I'm not gonna just sit here and let you throw punches at me.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael Shaw says ex-girlfriend Katrina Wallace lied to him about the paternity of her child. He is suing for the return of child support.
Mr. Shaw, the way to conduct a paternity test, sir, is for all parties, including the child, to be present at the same time. You understand that?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Well, I'm going to tell you. The way you conduct a paternity test is mother, alleged father, and the child go for testing at the same time so that you can identify him. Yes. She says, yes, that is Mr. Shaw, and that is my child. Do you understand?
I understand.
So we are going to adjourn this case. And you're going to go and schedule a paternity test, a DNA test, with the two of you and the child present at the same time. Clear? Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
And then we'll all come back here when I get the results. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Rendez versus Scobie, step forward, please.
24-year-old student Jesse Rendez is suing his schoolmate, 25-year-old student Donnell Scobie, for dental bills due to an assault. Donnell is countersuing for a false arrest.
Mr. Rendez, what school did you go to?
San Francisco State University.
And how long have you known Mr. Scobie?
Approximately 1.5 years.
It is your claim that Mr. Scobie assaulted you, caused you some physical injury. You want him to compensate you for that and also to pay some of your dental bills.
Correct.
Mr. Scobie says that he acted in self-defense and he's countersuing. He says because of your actions, he spent some time in jail, limited time, and his academic record was placed at risk. When did this incident happen and where, sir?
It happened approximately at 4:15 on 4/18/2002 in the kinesiology department of San Francisco State University.
Tell me what happened.
First, I'd like to state that, yes, the defendant and I were friends. However, if I would have known about the defendant's history of violent crime and...
Tell me what happened.
I'll tell you what happened? Okay. Well...
And try looking at me when you tell me what happened.
Sure. Okay, Your Honor. Like I said, on 4/15 on 4/18/2002, I asked the defendant to use a cellular phone of his. Being that we were friends and I have let him use my cellular phone in the past, I figured that he would definitely let me use the cell phone. He said no, he couldn't let me use the phone. I explained to him that it wasn't...
Did he tell you why?
Not at that point. He didn't tell me why. That's when I explained to him it's emergency. Can I please use the cell phone? It is an emergency. I let him know that. And then that's when he told me why he couldn't.
What did he say?
That it's not my phone. That's when we began to get into an argument. I told him, you're not going to let me use this phone, it's an emergency. That's when I said, I really don't want anything to do with you any longer. I would appreciate it if you wouldn't be my friend anymore.
Mr. Rendez, that doesn't sound like language you use when you're annoyed. Why don't you tell me what you said to him?
I exchanged violent words with him as far as...
Violent words with him?
Yeah, as far as bad words. Not violent words, bad words. You know, F you, this, don't F with me anymore. I just, you know.
Right.
That's when the defendant went outside and gestured me to fight him. I told him I did not want to fight him at school because my standing at school would be affected, Your Honor. I did not want anything to do with him as far as a physical confrontation.
No, just a second. That's not what you said to him.
Well, I did say, Your Honor, that I didn't want to have any physical confrontation at school. I said that.
You said, I don't want to have any physical confrontation at school. Those were your words. Is that what you want me to believe?
Well, not like that. I said...
No. Then understand me, sir. I want you to tell me what you said to him. He's gesturing to you to come on and fight him, and you said...
Then that's when I turned away and walked away from him.
Oh, well, because you just told me before. You told him that you didn't want to have any confrontation at school to him because you didn't want it to affect your academic standing.
Correct.
That didn't take place.
No, it did. That was when we were... I'm sorry, Your Honor. That was when we were walking down the hallway. When we were walking down the hallway, that's when I said, I'm not going to fight you at school. This is going too far. I do not want to fight you at school and have anything at school to jeopardize my standing at school. Then that's when he went outside. He went outside and gestured for the fight. That's when I turned around. I began to walk away from him to defuse the situation. I did not want a confrontation with him, Your Honor. That's when he came in. He rushed in the doors. I turned around, Your Honor, and then bam, that's when the assault occurred.
Tell me about the assault.
I turned around. Boom, that's when the assault began. Everything went flying.
No, I don't understand what boom means.
Well, boom, that's when I was struck in the face, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
That's an answer.
I'm sorry. That's when I was struck in the face.
And that's when your tooth was injured.
That's when my tooth was injured, correct. That's when my tooth was chipped.
And what did you do after you were struck in the face?
All I remember, Your Honor, is the defendant kept saying, it's going to keep getting worse, it's going to keep getting worse. He kept repeating, it's going to keep getting worse. When I was trying to get as close to the defendant as possible so I could try to wrap him up so that I wouldn't get it hit any more times. That's when I wrapped him up and we began to wrestle. I kind of shook him off me, and then that's when I went to the office to receive help, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, now, Mr. Scobie, your version of the event, sir.
Okay, it was, like the plaintiff said, it was April 18th. I was with a study group studying. I needed to make a call later to a friend that I had a date with. I borrowed a friend's cell phone, went outside, made my call. As I was finishing my call, the plaintiff walked up to me, asked me, you know, can I use your phone? And like he said before, we were friends. We played basketball numerous times together. We were on the same teams together. And I told him, you know, the woman whose phone this is she told me to make the phone call quick for myself. So, let alone I'm not going to let the plaintiff use the phone. So I said, no, you can't use the phone, but here, I have a pocket full of change. I even gestured to give the guy some change. That's when he said, in curse words to me, you're a punk, and just kept going on and on. I didn't know where this came from. Him and I, a couple days earlier, had hung out and actually had lunch together. Or even, I think, earlier that day.
You didn't let him have your phone, and he was frustrated. So he used a lot of bad language.
Yes, he said
Keep going.
And so he used a bunch of foul language with me. I said, you, and I walked away from the plaintiff. That's when the plaintiff opened the door, came in, and so my back's to him. I'm walking down the hall, and gestured to me, you want to handle this?
Keep going.
And so I walk up to him and I say, whatever, you want to handle it? What are you talking about? He goes, let's go out back. So I start walking down another hall. The whole time he's ranting and raving, I'm going to whoop your punk so-and-so. At that point, the plaintiff swooped behind me, tripped me from behind, Your Honor. I started to fall down. As I fell down, I gained my position I thought the guy was attacking me because it wasn't like we're going to, take a walk in the park. He was telling me he's going to kick my ass. So, and that's when I turned around out of self-defense and, struck exactly. So the plaintiff then gets geared up. He comes with a flurry of punches, of which, this incident didn't just happen right here. He pursued me on numerous occasions. As I tried to walk away, he came at me with at least 5 or 6 punches. And yes, I said it's going to get worse. I'm thinking he's coming at me. I'm backpedaling in my flip-flops. It's going to get worse. I'm not going to just sit here and let you throw punches at me. At one point, I tripped on my flip-flops. The plaintiff tried to get on top of me. I grabbed the plaintiff's arms. A woman walks by. He turns his attention to her, and I slip out of the incident. He had my shirt, and he's like saying, it ain't over. It's not over, and all this stuff. And I'm like, at the worst, he's going to want to fight me again. So I headed to the health center.
Okay. You went to the health center to get your hand fixed.
Yes, I did,
You
Your Honor.
injured your hand, you hit him so hard, right?
It wasn't a calculated punch, but yes, I did injure my hand.
Because you hit him so hard.
Yes.
Okay. So what kind of injuries did you suffer, sir?
Chipped tooth, severely chipped tooth from the blow.
And you? What did you suffer?
A laceration on my left finger, left hand.
You're not even suggesting that I deal with that. You punched him, you want me to suffer?
No, he started the fight. Okay. Injuries aside, he started the fight.
Keep going.
After that, the plaintiff rushes to the office to where I work. I teach water aerobics to the elderly. I'm a weight training instructor.
So he filed a complaint?
He filed a complaint.
Were you arrested?
Yes, I was.
Scobie. What happened with those charges?
Those charges were dropped. I was readmitted to school to get back in. I had numerous teachers write letters of recommendation, which I have here.
Anything else you want to tell me, Mr. Rendez?
Yes, I would just like to say, Your Honor, the injury that I suffered from this assault, it really hurt me, Your Honor.
You behaved badly, Mr. Rendez.
I know, I said some bad things, Your Honor.
You behaved badly, Mr. Rendez.
I know.
Sir, you did.
I know, Your Honor. I said some things, but that does not excuse this man's assault on me because I said a few bad words to him. The sweep kick that he claims occurred did not occur. I did not sweep kick the defendant, Your Honor.
How do I know that?
It's written in the police report. Can I please present that?
Sure, show me. I'd like to see that.
That's a copy of the police report. I've highlighted a few things.
Shh, don't highlight, I read. This incident report, Mr. Rendez, absolutely gives your version of the events, and it gives Mr. Scobie's version of the events.
Correct.
How come you didn't highlight, because you highlighted a lot of things, Mr. Rendez, how come you didn't highlight the part of his statement where he says that you swept-kicked him against his leg and he turned around and he hit you?
Because there was no sweep kick, Your Honor.
Just a second, that's what you say. That's what you say. That's why I read the whole thing. According to your statements to the police, there was no sweep kick. According to the defendant's report to the police, there was, but you conveniently neglected to highlight that. How come?
Because that did not occur. That sweep kick did not occur, Your Honor.
You behaved badly, Mr. Rendez.
I know I did, and I definitely said some things that weren't right, and I'm sorry to the defendant for that, but I never once swept kicked the defendant, Your Honor.
Mr. Rendez, your case is dismissed. Mr. Scobie, your counterclaim is dismissed. You both behaved badly that day. You, Mr. Rendez, I have a sense, was very, very angry. You'd asked your friend to borrow a cell phone. He said no. You overreacted. You started cursing at him. And the two of you behaved very badly. You, unfortunately, got the worst of the deal. He got a cut hand that required some stitches, and you lost a tooth. That's what happens when two people act like idiots, when two men act like idiots. If he said, no, I'm sorry, you can't borrow the cell phone because it doesn't belong to me, you turn around, you say, thank you very much, and you go find something else to do. You don't start cursing at him, because that precipitates an argument. You curse at him, you call his mother names, he curses at you, he calls your mother names, and then all of a sudden you get into an incident where everybody's acting a little too hot. You both suffered. Chalk it up to experience. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Versus Berry.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Sennett, Mr. Berry is responsible for trashing your house.
Yes, ma'am.
During a teen party. Mr. Berry has already been convicted of trashing your house during this party. He's paid court-ordered restitution in the amount of $1,000. He says he's paid enough. If your house was damaged to an extent that was greater than the $1,000 that he's contributed, go after the other people. That's your defense.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you very shy, Mr. Berry?
A little.
Or are you nervous?
Not really.
You're not nervous? I'm going to see what I can do to fix that. Mr. Berry, how do you know Mr. Sennett?
I'm friends with his son, Matt Sennett.
And where's Matt?
Right there.
Matt!
Yes, ma'am.
How did Mr. Berry get to your house?
I was supposed to stay at my mom's house because my dad was going out of town.
Were you living with your father at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
So, and this is your father?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're living with your father. Father's going out of town on?
Vacation.
And so you made arrangements with your former wife?
Girlfriend.
His mother?
His mother.
To take care of him?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you don't trust him in your house?
Don't trust anybody in my house.
That's it, unless you're there.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm with you, Mr. Sennett. So you send him packing to his mother's house?
Yes, ma'am.
How long, Matt, did you stay at your mom's house?
I went there for an hour or two, and then I went to my friend's house. And
which friend?
Bobby Anderson. He's sitting right there. And then we were picked up from his house by David.
Well, how did you communicate with David?
I called him.
And what did you say to him when you called him?
I said, hey, you want to come pick us
up?
up?
You said, hey?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I said, hey, you want to come pick us up and we'll hang out?
And David said?
Sure, and he came and picked us up.
And where did you go?
We went to my house, or my dad's house.
Ah, your dad didn't want you in his house.
No, ma'am.
How did you get in?
I had a key.
Send him, you take away his keys. You do a strip search.
I'm learning.
So far, it's the three of you.
Yes.
At your father's house?
Yes.
How many other people did you invite to your father's house?
Not very many, maybe 3.
6 altogether?
Yes, ma'am.
And what were you all doing there?
We were drinking.
Drinking. Let me put that down. Number 1 is drinking.
Mm-hmm.
What were you drinking?
Alcohol. We were drinking E&J.
What is that?
E&J.
Brandy.
E&J?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yes, ma'am.
And where did you get it from?
He had it.
Who's he?
David.
David. How old are you?
20.
No, I wasn't looking in your direction. I was yelling at you. Just wait. I'll be looking your direction and yelling in a moment. How old are you?
I am 17. I was 16 at the time.
And your father let you be 17. That was very nice of him. Now, what are the names of the other 3 people that were there? Is not an answer.
Doug.
Go ahead, Doug.
David, one of his friends.
One of whose friends?
David's friends.
Who else?
And Salas.
Who else?
That's it.
6 of you. You like girls?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you have a party without girls?
It wasn't a party.
Of course you had a party. You were drinking. That's a party. You weren't working. You weren't sleeping. You weren't eating. You were drinking. Sounds like a party to me. How much of this stuff did you bring?
I didn't bring it. One of his friends that's named Reggie, he's 23 years old, he delivered it.
Reggie? You left out Reggie.
There was no Reggie. Reggie didn't bring the alcohol. He had the alcohol in his car when we got to my house.
Not true.
So you were all drinking, and what happened, Matt?
I drank too much, and I went upstairs and passed out. And then when I woke up the next day, my house was destroyed.
How'd that happen?
I talked to the people that were there, and they said that David...
Don't tell me what they said. Were you there, Bobby?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you drunk?
Yes, ma'am.
You know how the house got trashed?
Yes, ma'am.
You want to tell me?
Yes, ma'am.
Sit down. Come up here, Bobby. Now, Bobby.
All right.
No, just... What's Reggie's last name? Look at me.
I'm not sure of Reggie's last name.
How old is he?
Probably about 22, 23.
At some point during that evening, Reggie brought some liquor over, correct?
Incorrect.
He wasn't there.
He was there, but he did not bring any alcohol.
He was there. Now, is that something that Matt just forgot to tell me? Is not an answer.
Yes, and he also forgot to tell you that Brittany, my girlfriend, was also there.
Oh, so you like girls?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Sennett, your son didn't tell you about Reggie. Let's proceed, sir.
All right, so David had came over to my house and picked me and Matthew up. And then we went over to Matt's dad's house. And then he slowly brought out like 4 and 5th bottles of E&J, and we started drinking around like 4 or 5. And then we slowly like played pool, and then like we was having a good old time, and then things did get out of control. And
Just a minute. Doug, David P., and Victor, how did they get there?
Victor has a license, I believe, and he got over
Well,
there.
who invited them?
Matthew.
Matthew. And how did your girlfriend get there? Is not an answer.
She had got brought over by Reggie.
By Reggie, the elusive Reggie who wasn't there. Brought over his girlfriend. Did you forget that, Matt?
Reggie stayed outside the whole time.
Did you forget that?
Yes, ma'am.
See, Mr. Senate, what I'm trying to bring home to you is there's lots of responsibility to go around here.
I understand that.
You see, he's already been convicted.
Absolutely.
He's already been sentenced. He's already paid his fines. He's already done all those things. He really doesn't have a reason to lie to me. Him, on the other hand, he's a whole different story. You understand what I mean?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were all drinking. Then everything got out of hand. And what happened?
Well, David gave me like his keys to his car.
How?
Because I was gonna go look for some marijuana.
So you told David, you'd go look for some marijuana, may I have the keys to your car?
And he was all for it.
He was all for it.
Yes,
for you going to look for the marijuana.
That's why he gave me his
Had
keys.
you been drinking? You told me you had all been drinking.
Yeah.
And had he been drinking?
Yeah, that's why I don't understand why he just gave me the keys like so
Well,
willingly.
because when you drink, you don't know what you're doing. Sometimes you act really stupid, right?
Right.
Sometimes bad things can happen when you're drinking and driving a car, right?
I didn't even make it out the driveway, really.
So you were really stupid. What did you do to the car in the driveway?
I backed into a shed.
A shed. Would that be Mr. Senate's shed?
Yes, ma'am.
You have pictures of your house, Mr. Senate?
I have pictures of one of the swords that they took, that somebody took out of my safe and did a lot of damage with.
I'd like to see. So after you
You can take them off.
crashed Mr. Berry's car over here, what happened?
I took off down the driveway.
And?
Stopped at the end of the driveway and just like sat there.
Recovering.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then what happened?
Brittany had came running after me, and then that's when I went off down the road and then like sat off at this little dirt road and sat there and just was like thinking to myself and pretty much
What were you thinking?
like, what was I doing? You know, because I was drunk and I was driving.
So what did you do?
I eventually turned around and came back.
In the car.
Yes, ma'am.
And did he get angry?
Yes.
And what happened?
He tore up Mr. Senate's house.
All by himself?
Yes. He threw dog food everywhere. He threw knives in the walls, and there was soap on the floor. He was sliding around, acting pretty foolish.
Go.
Matt and Bobby had invited me to Mr. Senate's house for a party, and I picked up my friend David, and we went there to the party, and everybody got drunk. Matt got real drunk, fell in the pond with the phone in his hand, ripped all the weeds out of the pond, and he climbed out of
Did
the
you
pond.
do that, Matt?
No, ma'am.
Was there any damage to the pond in your house?
Yeah, there was some plants.
That would be him.
No, ma'am, I didn't.
That would be him.
I didn't sue him for that.
And then he came inside, he went upstairs, puked all over himself, and fell asleep and passed out. And then everybody else was having a good time party, and then people started throwing, it started going out of control. People started throwing knives. Well, I threw some knives, but I threw some dog food and stuff, but everybody else did the rest of the damage. And me and my friend, we slept in the living room on the couch, and I had my keys and wallet on the coffee table, and Troy came running in there saying, Bobby wrecked your car, Bobby wrecked your car. So I went there, saw Bobby in my car with like 5 people, and I took the keys from him, and then later at night when I went back to bed, I made sure I hid my keys under the couch sofa so he wouldn't get a hold of them. And there was about 15 people at the party.
I assumed that there were more that Matt just sort of misplaced, including this lovely lady, right? How many girls were there at the party?
Just me.
Sounds like my kind of party.
It was her and 2 other girls.
Do you know who the other girls were?
No.
My sister did come, but she left with Reggie.
There you go, that's one. Your sister came. I don't care if she was there for 10 minutes or 5 minutes or 7 minutes. Your sister and who else?
That was all. Just me and my sister.
So, Mr. Senate, Mr. Berry was arrested.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else arrested?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because I was told that he did the damage.
They're all responsible,
I understand.
especially him.
I understand.
Well, what'd you do to him?
I punished him. He's still on restriction, so.
What about paying for the damage that he caused? But for his actions, nobody would have been in your house.
I understand that. I agree with you.
So, I mean, Mr. Berry was arrested. He now has a conviction. I mean, you know, it would be different if he was 30 years old and they were 16. They're all the same. They're all idiots.
Right.
So why would you think that I would say, this is this young man who did the wrong thing, no question.
Right.
Went to this party. I believe he brought some alcohol there, as did Mr. Reggie, who he forgot to tell you was there. I believe that he participated in trashing your house. I believe there were a lot of drunken people who once it got started, everything got a little bit out of hand. But bottom line is, it's all his fault.
Well, and I've told him that, you know, for bringing people over, but David did pick him up with the liquor according to all the witnesses that I spoke to.
They all got together.
But he had the liquor.
I guarantee you his friend David P. would not say that that was true.
And the fact that when he backed David's car into the building, David flipped out because of the damage that was done to his car, and that's why he just started destroying the house.
Do you think that he gave him the keys to the car?
Absolutely. He does it all the time. He lets all the kids drive his car. He needs to stop hanging around with kids, underage.
He's a kid. You're not getting it, Mr. Senate.
I understand that.
He's a kid. Did you pay your restitution?
Yes, ma'am.
What were you convicted of?
Throwing dog food and knives in the wall, and it was like a $1,000
Destruction
fee.
of personal property is what it was.
As a felony or a misdemeanor?
Misdemeanor.
Is it the only time you've ever been arrested?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times have you been arrested? It's not an answer.
I've never been arrested, but I have been to court and been in trouble before.
When you were how old?
Just recently.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
After he put you on the couch, put his knee in your neck, forcing your mouth open, and pouring the E&J down your throat, I want you to tell me what he did next.
Terrence Sennett says his son's former friend, David Berry, trashed his home during a party. David claims he wasn't the only drunk in attendance.
So, Mr. Sennett, you have to fix appropriate blame. In my view, Mr. Berry has completed his responsibility to you.
Yes, ma'am.
I suggest that you look towards the others, including your own son, without whose complicity this whole nightmare never would have taken place. Because aside from being on restriction, and evidently your restriction wasn't too helpful because he's been in trouble since, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So if anybody needs a little straightening out, I would suggest it's him. Make him get a job and pay for whatever additional damage was done to your house.
Yes, ma'am.
Not him. He's paid it. Now, you may sit down. Your case is dismissed because now I have a second case, which is Berry versus Anderson. You would be the defendant over there. Now, I already have the story.
Yeah.
And I have a very intact memory. I can take the facts that I gleaned from the previous case and bring them here. What was the damage to your car, sir?
Like a total of $2,500.
And what amount do you feel is your responsibility? Because it's clear that Mr. Anderson took your car. He was so drunk that he couldn't drive it, and he had an accident with it before he even got out of the driveway. And I believe that you brought liquor to this party. And I believe that you also agreed that he was going to go out and get some marijuana, and you thought that was a grand old idea. Now, the fact that you may have been drunk when you said it's a grand old idea, I can't take into consideration. So what I want to know from you is, how much is your responsibility of this $2,500?
How much? None.
Yours, none. Well, how much do you think Mr. Anderson should pay of the $2,500 that it's going to take to fix your car?
All of it.
When you party and when you're drunk, things happen. You know how I said to Mr. Sennett, he has to fix blame all the way around? You got punished and you had to pay because you acted stupid?
Yes.
But there were a lot of other stupid people at the party, including his own child, who caused the trouble by inviting a group of people over to his house when he knew that that was strictly off limits. Now, you are just slightly out of the kid stage, only because the law says that you're not a minor anymore. Mr. Anderson's a minor. You know that if he would have gotten killed in your car, you would have been responsible?
But the car was stolen.
No, don't believe that, sir, for 1 second.
Well, I was asleep when he took my car, so technically I didn't know he took my car, so...
You know how many times I've heard the I was sleeping when he took my car story? I can think of at least 20 times this year that I heard that I was sleeping when he took my car keys because we were all drunk at the party story.
Okay.
Good. Now let me see the estimate in the pictures. believe, sir, that you are partially responsible for fixing his car. You do believe that?
No, I honestly don't.
You don't? Well, you want to tell me why?
Because he brought the alcohol, and he was more than willing.
Let me ask you this question. He brought the alcohol. What did he do, sir, after he put you on the couch, put his knee in your neck, forcing your mouth open, and pouring the E&J down your throat? I want you to tell me what he did next.
Well, he didn't exactly do that, but I was...
Responsibility. Do you act responsibly?
I tried my hardest.
Do you act responsibly because it's the responsible thing to do, or do you act responsibly because you're 18?
Because it's a responsible thing to do.
That's right. Well, that's the answer. That's a good answer, sir. So if you've done something wrong and gotten behind the wheel of a car drunk, going out to commit a crime, which is to buy marijuana, and you have an accident, you have to accept some responsibility for that, right?
I understand.
So, sir, are you complaining because there are scratches on your rims?
Yes.
I want you to stop complaining about it. I don't get excited over scratched rims. I do get excited over back bumpers, however. The back bumper is a disaster. Ooh. So how much was it to put on a new bumper? $661?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Cost to install the body kit, what is that?
It's like aftermarket parts, aftermarket bumpers, like make the car wider and make it look bigger.
Why couldn't you just put a bumper on it?
Well, the original bumper's on it now.
Oh, so you put the original bumper back on it, it's just this blue thing that you wanted that made it look bigger?
It was a show car, is what I'm trying to
It's
say.
not a show car anymore. It used to be a show car.
Yes.
It's not a show car anymore. It will never be a show car again. Does it have a bumper on it now?
Yes.
And do you drive it?
Yes.
Perfect. Now, I think that you ought to give him something just because you have to take responsibility for what you did. You took his car and you had an accident. We're not replacing his car and putting this ridiculous kit on it that makes the bumpers look bigger.
Can I say something?
What?
Like, when he said it was a show car, it was far away from a show car.
It was a show car to him. It was his show car. You have to pay him something for doing something stupid to his property.
Yes, ma'am.
You tell me what you think is fair.
A shake of the hand, pretty much.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's fair. You can also shake his hand. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may this. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
All right, let's see if we can resolve this today. Okay? Bring your level down.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Good. Ms. Hicks, the defendant is your son.
Yes, he is.
According to your complaint, there was an altercation in your home sometime last summer. And during the course of that altercation, he damaged a dining room table in your home.
That's correct.
You want him to pay for that table or for the repairs to the table. I honestly believe after reading the complaint and the answer, there's a lot more here, and probably not the reason for this lawsuit, but we'll get to that in a minute. This whole altercation started over your son's children from a previous marriage.
Correct.
I gather that you don't see those children regularly. Is that right, sir?
Once a year, if I'm lucky.
And you decided to form a more intimate relationship with the children's mother so that you could visit with them.
That's correct.
And made arrangements for the girls, they're two girls,
Yes, ma'am.
to come to visit you.
Correct.
Where do the girls live?
The girls live in Connecticut.
And where do you live?
I live in Oakland, California.
So, how old are they?
Leanna is 8, she'll be 9 in July, and Simone just turned 11 in January.
And ultimately, their mother agreed to let them come to visit you.
I had to go out and spend some time with them because neither one of us had seen the girls in 4 years, and see if they were willing to come. I didn't want to bring them out and have them, afraid. And I spent some time out there with them, and they were willing to come, and she was willing to let me.
But there was a stipulation to allowing the girls to come to California with you. What was the stipulation?
Is that I was in control and responsible for the girls. She did not want their father to have them alone. He could come visit them, he could spend time with them, he could do whatever he wanted to, as long as I was there.
Did you tell your son that the girls were coming?
I told him that I was hoping to bring them back. I couldn't guarantee it. But as soon as we landed, I took the girls straight to his job.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you saw your girls, you hadn't seen them in 4 years?
3 years and about eight and a half months.
Was it nice to see them?
Very nice.
And that all came about because of your mother's efforts.
Yes.
Did you communicate with your son the fact that the only stipulation was that he couldn't have the children alone without you?
Absolutely.
When did you tell him that?
When I called him and told him we had landed, I had the girls. And he said, you're coming by here. He wanted to spend some time with them. So I agreed to leave them at his job with him, and I would come back and get them. I honestly don't even know exactly what went on, but he ended up leaving his job and taking the girls to his house and then bringing them back to me at about 2 o'clock in the morning. And I told him we could not do that again. I was going to find out, and the whole point of this was to be able to have the girls back and forth on some type of a regular basis.
Why did you bring the girls back 2 o'clock in the morning?
Because that's what time I started work, was at 2:30 in the morning at my job.
That's right. That's right.
Wrong. That was wrong. Do you understand that that was wrong?
No, I don't understand it that
Okay,
way.
well, I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Your mother, through some effort, had reestablished a relationship with your two girls, and your two girls are in the custody of their mother. Absent a court order to the contrary, she has the right to stipulate what the parameters of this visit will be. And by returning the girls at 2:30 in the morning, that was behaving irresponsibly, totally irresponsibly.
Well, if I could speak here, if you want to know why, let's get on this subject, their responsibility. She failed to pick them up. The whole thing came about with them staying with me at my job was the fact that she had to take her boyfriend back to his house in South San Jose. They hadn't eaten yet, they hadn't done anything. She's like, I have to run him back. I'll leave him here with you. I said, fine, they'll be here with me. I still got 3 more hours of work. They can stay for a couple hours. You come back, pick them up. Well, I'll go get something to eat, and that'd be the end of it. She never showed. I called 2 or 3 times. I'm stuck in traffic, or this took longer, whatever. I said, well, I need to go. I said, I'll take them home with me, feed them. They can stay with me. I'll bring them back in the morning on my way to work. I didn't want to bring them back at 2:30 in the morning. She insisted. I said, well, what do you want me to do? She didn't want me to take them at all. I said, okay, well, I'll just keep them here till 8, 9 o'clock at night. They'll just stay in my office for 8 hours a day until you feel like coming back to get them. And she agreed that wasn't acceptable either.
Is that what happened, Miss Hicks?
No.
Let me hear.
We got in there, I would say, somewhere around 4.
To his office?
To his office. And I had to take Dwight back, because Dwight went with me to the East Coast. He wanted to keep the girls. He told me to go. He'd keep them here, and then we could go eat. That part is correct. I took Dwight back and dropped him off, turned around and came back. He called. He wanted to leave. I told him he couldn't. He said, well, I'll go take him to get something to eat, and then I'll meet you. I said, okay, that's fine. Then he called and said, no, I'm taking him home.
So ultimately the girls came home at 2:30 in the morning?
Right.
It was a mistake for you to leave them with your son?
That's true.
Because that was in direct violation of your agreement with their mother?
That's true.
So what happened on the day of this altercation?
He called me that morning and
The
told
next
me,
morning?
No. I would say about 4 or 5 days later.
Had he seen the girls in that 4 or 5 day period?
No, I hadn't seen them once, Your Honor. Not to mention it was 3 weekends later when I arrived.
Okay. Had you called your mother about coming over to see the
Several
girls?
times.
Well, what happened when you called her about coming over to see the girls?
They were never there. She was never there, they were never there, or when I wanted to come over, it just wasn't going to work out. I couldn't do that. Or a weekend when I just wanted to take them to the city. No.
Well, you couldn't take them away to the city, Mr. Freitas, because her agreement with their mother prohibited you from doing that.
I have joint custody of those kids.
No. If you have joint custody of the children, then what you do, sir, is you proceed with your rights in a court if your custodial rights are being interfered with. But your mother had an agreement with their mother. This was not your visitation. This was a gratuitous visit by their mother and their grandmother. So I don't know what kind of joint custody you have with the children if you haven't seen them in 4 years.
She won't let me see them. Every time the judge says I can see them, she goes to Puerto Rico.
Then you have to pursue that, sir. But you don't pursue that at the expense of this relationship, because this relationship is the only one that's enabling you, without having to go back to Connecticut, to see your girls.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Beverly Hicks says her son, Stan Freitas, destroyed her dining room table in a fit of rage. Stan says she wouldn't let him see his children.
Now, what happened when you went over to pick up the girls? Had you called first?
Yes, ma'am. 3 days straight. And the night before.
Okay, and the night before, did you make an arrangements to see the girls?
Yes. I told her I'd be coming by in the morning. She said, that's fine. You can come by in the morning.
Great, so you got there.
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened?
I knocked on the door. She said, come in. I went in. The girls weren't to be seen. I said, where are the girls? She said, you're not going to see them. I said, what do you mean by that?
Just a second. Did she say you're not going to see them or you're not going to take them away?
Her exact words, you're not going to see them. And in fact, I didn't see them the whole time I was there because my half-brother over there had them in the back bedroom. Wouldn't even let them come out to see me because she knew they'd be upset if they knew they couldn't see me, spend time with me, or leave with me, whatever the case.
No, there's a difference, Mr. Freitas. There's a difference in seeing them and taking them, sir.
Okay, seeing them then.
Did you tell your mother that you really only wanted to visit with the girls in the house?
Yes, I wanted to see their faces. She agreed to that. And when I showed up and plans changed, and then I couldn't see them, I couldn't spend time with them, not even in the house, that's what I was upset about. She had changed everything when I'd shown up. The reason she changed everything is because my new wife was sitting out in the car out front. Her entire look on her face, her attitude, her tone of voice was fine until when she opened the door and she realized that my new wife was sitting out in the car. That's when things turned sour. She began to yell. She rushed the kids into the back room with my half-brother and then said, you're not seeing them, you're not taking them, you just need to leave.
Why do you think that she had a problem with your new wife being involved with the visitation with the girls? Did she tell you?
No, she didn't tell me.
Did she say anything about your former wife saying that she didn't want the girls to be in her company?
No.
Did you ever tell him that, Miss Hicks?
Yes, I did.
What was the reason that the first Mrs. Freitas didn't want the second Mrs. Freitas to be involved with the children?
Because when the girls called his house, the messages were not relayed to Stan that the girls had called.
At least that's what wife number one reported to you. Whether she was right or wrong.
I have no clue.
You have no clue. But that was the arrangement.
Absolutely.
Okay, because they didn't know each other.
No, they've never met.
And the second Mrs. Freitas isn't the reason that the first Mrs. Freitas became the first Mrs. Freitas. I assume that...
No.
No.
So it was just a first wives thing.
Yes.
Right. Got it. Unreasonable. Mr. Freitas, that's unreasonable on her part. But that was a bargain. Okay, so then the girls are shuffled in the back room, and there's an argument between you and your son. Tell me about the argument.
Well, that's not exactly how it happened. Josh answered the door. I didn't answer the door. The girls were already in the back of the house playing in the room. And I came out to the dining area. He said, I'm here to get the girls. I had no idea Ileana was in the car. I said, you know you can't take the girls. You can stay here. You can see them. You can do whatever you want. You cannot take the girls. He screamed for Simone. And Josh came out, stood in the doorway of the kitchen. And he was going to get between us. I told him to stay back because I didn't want these two boys fighting.
He never came out, Your Honor.
And Stanley at that point bumped into me. I bumped back into him. We pushed back and forth. He yelled again for Simone and Leanna at the top of his lungs. I looked at Josh. Josh at Stanley. I said, get back, go in there with the girls. Call the police. And at that, he picked the table up and he threw the table. And I told him to get out of my house. He turned around and walked out. I followed him out. That's when I saw that Ileana was in the car, and AJ. I followed him around. We had a little more pushing and shoving, and he got in the car and left. The police came, took a report, did pictures. The girls were very upset. I went in and spent a little bit of time with them, told them that their dad wasn't mad at them, their dad was mad at me. And Simone says, Dad loses his temper a lot. It's okay.
And I assume that since that time you have not seen your youngest grandson.
No. I have only seen my grandson 4 times. He was 2 years old in January.
And you've not communicated with your son since then?
I have attempted to. He hangs up on me and tells me not to call.
Can I see the pictures of the table, please?
Yeah. Okay, these are my pictures. This is the police report, and these are the police pictures. I attempted to work this out with him by getting him to just pay for the table, typed up a thing, signed it. My son gave it to him. He would not sign it or give him the money. He said he had to call and make sure that this would prevent any legal problems. Then the DA dropped the case, and so this was my only alternative.
No, the case was dismissed, Your Honor, in a court.
After a trial?
Facts were heard. The DA went back. I went back 4 times.
No.
4 days of work.
Pay careful attention to me, sir. Was there a trial?
No, there was 2 hearings, and it was thrown out. She keeps using this as an excuse to force a relationship with me and my family.
Okay, that's where we're at. You're absolutely right.
Yes, let's get there, ma'am.
Okay. But what I'm telling you is...
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
You know, I can understand your feeling when your girls are in California and you are relegated to a position of visiting them under their mother's rules. Okay? I can understand that. And if it's true, Mr. Freitas, that you have an order that permits you more liberal time with your girls that you're not able to enforce because their mother, for whatever reason, I am telling you I am sympathetic with that. You're targeting the wrong person.
I'm a little confused by that, Your Honor. All I'd like for her to do is just leave me alone. I'm not targeting her. I'm not saying bring them down again. I'm not saying have you talk to them. I let it go. After this incident, that was the end of it. And she won't let it go.
Because she's not ready to, you're her child.
She blew that shot, Your Honor. Tell me if I'm wrong, Your Honor. If this is your child, you look at his point of view and you work for his best interest, not some ex-wife.
No,
3,000 miles away. Or at least work it down the middle. You know, somewhere in between.
She can't do that,
Well, then
Mr.
she made the
Freitas.
deal with the devil, Your Honor. I didn't make the deal.
No, Mr. Freitas. That's not a deal with the devil, sir.
You have met my ex-wife?
Cute line. Mr. Freitas, your mother may have made a deal with the devil in order to get your girls here to California. And if that was the only way to do it, you shouldn't have put her in a position to say, well, now that you got the girls here, now we're going to play it by my rules. It may have all worked out eventually, given some time. But you wanted the...
But then again, Your Honor, it may not have. And considering it was 3 years and 8 months since I'd last seen him, what was I supposed to do? Hope that this worked out? And if it didn't, just suck up the next 4 years?
Just a minute. You want to know the answer? The answer is you got to see your children. You
For 4 hours in my office.
Just a second. You got to see your children, and you could have seen them again.
She wouldn't
You know,
let me.
listen, no, yes, Mr. Freitas, you're wrong. And I can't believe that. I cannot believe that you
Neither could I.
No, Mr. Freitas, you're very angry. And I don't blame you for being angry at their mother if she's interfering with your rights to see your girls. Your target is the wrong person. She tried to do the right thing. You wanted her to breach her agreement, which could have, if the girls went home and said, I went out with Daddy and his new wife, and we spent the day, we spent overnight, we spent the weekend. Their mother says, that wasn't our agreement. They're never coming out to you again. You broke your word. All bets are off. It would have been a tragic mistake. So when you say to me, well, maybe it would have worked and maybe not, and then I would not have seen them for another 4 years, that's possible. But right now, she did it. She put your girls in the same state that you were, in the same county, on the same block, in the same house. You got to see them. To be able to see them, to visit with them, even once a year if your mother brings them out, is better than nothing. But you're picking on the wrong person, sir.
I'm not picking on her. When this incident happened, that was the last contact I've had with her, and she keeps repeatedly trying to have contact with me, and I don't want it. It's over. Go do your thing, leave me alone. That's all I ask.
Good. Give me the estimate for the table.
I tried to get him to pay for the table.
Listen, I know what it's about. I see no matter how hard I
These
try,
are the
he's going to be
receipts.
angry. Miss Hicks?
That's the
But
breakdown.
she's using
These
this
are the
table as an
receipts.
excuse.
Of course she is. I absolutely agree with you.
And that's right, Your Honor? That's right?
No.
When a judge in a criminal court said this is a bunch of nonsense...
Judge in the criminal
threw it
court
out?
wasn't going to waste their time, Mr. Freitas, when you say, she wants me and I don't want anything to do with her. It's over. Not smart. Okay, Mr. Freitas, you have my sympathy as a parent who's having a difficult time establishing an ongoing relationship with two of your children. There may have been a reason for that. I don't know. I don't know what the reason for the breakup of your first marriage was. I don't know if you had the same kind of anger that you seem to have now, that's part of your personality. But I do have sympathy for you with regard to not seeing your girls. I think that to choose to target your mother.
I still don't get this target my mother. How have I targeted her?
You targeted your mother by cutting yourself off from her and cutting her off from her other grandchild. That's how you targeted her. You said, it's okay for me not to have anything to do with my mother anymore. I'm cutting her off. She is now, in my mind, dead, and there is no reason for me to see her. I'm not going to allow her to see my child.
What reason would I have to see her? She wouldn't even let me see my own kids. I don't even have a phone number for where they're at. And she couldn't even let me see them.
She did let you see them. She brought them to your office. If she were going
And
to
on the first day, and then the whole time they were here, I wasn't allowed to see them?
Mr. Freitas, I want to tell you something. You know that relationships usually don't last, right?
Yes,
Is that a
ma'am.
fair statement? You know how many mothers you have?
Well, she needed to value it on the other side, too.
Listen, try receiving, Mr. Freitas. We're only going to have one mother. You're cutting off the wrong person. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Các em thân mến, chào mừng các em đến với video mới ngày hôm nay nhé. Hôm nay cô có một bài toán khá là khó và chúng ta cần phải hiểu bản chất một chút thì chúng ta sẽ giải quyết được bài toán này. Đây là bài toán có 3 bể nước và chúng ta cần phải tính số lít nước ở mỗi bể nước. Khi mà biết rằng là tổng số lít nước bể 1 cộng bể 2 là trên này, bể 2 cộng bể 3 là đây và bể 3 cộng bể 1 là 7.030 lít. Ở đây các em thấy rằng là nếu như mà chúng ta tính trung bình cộng của bể 1 và bể 2 thì sẽ là bằng 7.050 chia 2 đúng không? Và tương tự như vậy thì bể 2 cộng bể 3 cũng thể chúng ta sẽ tính trung bình cộng của hai bể được. Như vậy ở đây chúng ta cũng sẽ tính trung bình cộng của từng bể riêng luôn. Và để mà hình dung được cái bản chất như thế thì chúng ta sẽ thấy được rằng là tổng số lít nước đựng ở 3 bể này thì chính là tổng số lít nước ở đây và chúng ta chia cho 2 đúng không nào? Ở đây chúng ta sẽ thấy, ở đây chúng ta sẽ có một lời giải đó là tổng số lít nước ở 3 bể chứa. Đúng ạ. Tổng số lít nước ở 3 bể chứa thì chúng ta sẽ tính là tổng của 3 cái này lại 7050 cộng 7180 cộng 7030. Ở đây sẽ bằng 0 này, 8 cộng 5 13, rồi 3 là 6 này, 1 nữa 1 là 2 và 3 x 7 21, 21.260 lít. Ở đây 1 cộng 2 bằng chừng này thì chúng ta sẽ tìm được bể 3. Đúng ạ. Bể 3 thì bằng tổng trừ đi ở đây là thành bể 1 cộng bể 2 bằng chừng này. Quên, cái này chúng ta phải chia nữa. Chúng ta phải chia 2 nữa. Nãy cô nói mà cô quên. Ở đây sẽ bằng 21.260 chia 2 là sẽ bằng 10.630 lít. Ở đây sẽ là 10.630 trừ đi 7050 là sẽ được 0, 13 trừ 5 là 8, 6 trừ 1 là 5 và 10 trừ 8 là 2. Tiếp theo chúng ta sẽ tìm được bể 2. Bể 2 thì chúng ta sẽ dựa vào là 1 cộng 3 rồi thì sẽ là 10.630 trừ đi tổng của bể 3 về bể 1 7030 thì sẽ được 6 10 trừ 7 là 3.600 lít. Và chúng ta sẽ tìm được bể 1 là 10.630 trừ đi bể 1 sẽ là trừ đi 7180 đúng không ạ? Thì sẽ được 13 trừ 8 là 5, 6 trừ đi 2 là 4 và 10 trừ đi 8 là 2. Và đấy là kết quả của bài toán. Các em chú ý đoạn đầu chúng ta phân tích được bản chất của vấn đề, chúng ta tìm ra được tổng số lít của 3 bể thì chúng ta sẽ tìm được số lít của từng bể nước nhé.